treated. Yeah, is this the end? Is this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying hate of facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end?
Tells us queer liberation means the annihilation of capitalism. Catch up, change, whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, change. It's capitalism. Whoa. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, change. It's capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, change. It's capitalism. It's capitalism. To pocket all that money from the mills for liberty. The left hates capitalism, but James won't admit it. He refuses to believe queer theory stabilizes normativity. Gender binary and the nuclear family. But James blocks the truth, smears people who try to show stalk him relentlessly.
What up, everyone? Happy Thursday. Welcome to The Cult. The Cult is a show that I do Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and on Rumble, where we really talk about whatever I feel like talking about on any given day. We're focusing in on current events, culture war stuff, my personal internet beefs, really whatever I feel like talking about. And my loyal cultists come and give me all the positive reinforcement that I so desperately crave on the internet. Naruto in with the first super chat of the day. When we get the vice presidential debate, please God bring back the fly. I mean, well, well, no, I guess actually you're right. Tim Walz actually does have pretty good hair for the fly. Like Mike Pence just had the perfect hair for the fly. It was just like you couldn't get better than that. But I don't know, maybe that'll make it interesting. I actually don't anticipate the vice presidential debate being all that interesting. But I do appreciate the super chat, Naruto. That'll start us off on our progress goal for the day. Guys, as a reminder, if 20 of you like my stream so much that you send in $5, we do meet the super chat goal for the day, just to keep things on track. And we have a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to talk about today, a lot of different content to go through. I hope everyone has mounted that like button for me. Let me show you what we're going to be talking about. Well, Trump did a press conference earlier, and I did listen to most of it, like kind of in the background. I was paying more attention at the beginning than I was towards the end, to be quite frank, because I just don't think this press conference was good. I think apparently it kind of seems like the press conference was to announce that Trump would be willing to do 3 different why is my mic up so loud? Hang on. That might be part of the problem. Hang on. There we go. Now my mic I think is better. Okay. That's a more reasonable level for my microphone, I think. Anyway. So the point of the press conference seemed to be that Trump was announcing that he was accepting 3 different debates with Kamala Harris, but apparently Kamala hasn't agreed to them. And so it was kind of one of those things where it's like the only reason this press conference really happened was Trump's campaign advisors. Well, if you want it, but now you guys can turn up your own volume and my mic won't be peaking as much. So you can still turn up your own volume, Sandy. It's okay. So apparently the only reason Trump really had this press conference was to make the point that Kamala Harris is not doing press conferences, okay? Because Trump was very adamant. There was almost a hissy fit moment during the press conference where Trump was like, I'm here. I'm doing press conferences. I'm taking questions from the press. Kamala Harris isn't here. She's not doing press conferences, but I'm doing press conferences. Why isn't she doing press conferences? I swear to God, it was one of those moments where it was like, it almost reeked of desperation. It's like the conservative talking points around Kamala Harris are just so bad. You can tell what the agreed upon narrative is on any given day because the conservative NPCs and the MAGA NPCs on Twitter just start repeating the same thing. Today's talking point is Kamala Harris doesn't even talk to the press. Well, guess what? Kamala Harris doesn't need to talk to the press. You want to know why? Because she has all the momentum and she's getting herself into a position to win, and Trump has none of the momentum, and everyone and we're going into the DNC. That's going to give Kamala a big bump. There's literally no good that can happen by Kamala Harris talking to the press. There's no upside to it. She's already packing these rallies with thousands of people. By the way, Trump is also in denial about the amount of people that Kamala Harris has at her rallies. This is also a general conservative thing. Do you guys remember last week when we watched the Kamala Harris rally from Atlanta? And conservatives were like, all the people were just there for the free concert. And they were like, there's video of people leaving the rally after the concert. And then you actually look at the video and it's like a couple of people, like maybe a dozen people left the arena after the free concert, which is really a song. It's not even a concert, it's a song. And everyone else stayed. And so there were like 10,000 people in that arena, and like 99.9% of them stayed. And conservatives were running around going, everyone left. They were just there for a free concert. Well, you know what that's turned into now? I have literally been hearing from conservatives in my feed for the last like 12, almost 24 hours actually. They're saying, Carlin, that stadium just emptied out after the free concert. They're literally trying to argue that no one stayed to hear Kamala Harris's talks in Atlanta. I've heard this on multiple platforms from multiple different people. And it's like, they actually believe this. They're like, the stadium just emptied out. No one stayed around. And I'm like, bro, we watched the video. Like, the video exists. And I was trying to explain this to someone yesterday, and the person I was trying to explain it to is actually a smart person. I was like, listen, I know that you believe that, but there is actually video of what the arena looked like. And they were like, Carlin, you should come to Atlanta and talk to the real people, because the real people don't want Kamala. I was like, I actually don't need to go to Atlanta because there's video, and the video is very clear. And in the video, it shows that the entire stadium remained packed. And so then Kamala goes and does a rally in Wisconsin. Again, tens of thousands of people come out to this rally. And again, conservatives were like, it was just a free concert. I really am starting to think that conservatives have never actually been to a concert, because they don't realize that someone famous playing one song isn't actually a free concert. Like, I used to go to Democrat events, and I'll tell you what, it was always to see the candidates. And then if there was like a celebrity or a musician or something like that, bonus, it's kind of cool. But it's like, you actually go to see the candidate, and you look at the crowd, and the crowd is completely enthusiastic about Kamala Harris. They're really, really excited about her. They're taking out their phones, they're waving their signs, they're chanting their chants. And again, conservatives are like, they're all bought and paid for to be there. And I'm like, what? I mean, what? Because like, people who are bought and paid for don't like act really excited in the tens of thousands. And so then there's that, and then Kamala did another rally in Detroit in this airport hangar, which again was packed. And again, conservatives were like, it was just a free concert. And I was like, you morons, there were no musical acts there. Literally, this is the level of nonsense that we're dealing with now. Is that I'm hearing, Carlin, the only reason that Kamala Harris packed that airport hangar in Detroit is because it was a free concert. And I look at the list of speakers, and I look at the video for the Detroit rally. Excuse me. And literally, there's no musicians at the rally. There's no musicians. There's no celebrities. And so then the cope turned into, they're all paid to be there. And then, yeah, Naruto's right. This is actually my favorite cope of all. And I've seriously had people telling me this. It's all AI and CGI. I had someone in my feed yesterday saying, Carlin, I know someone that lives in Atlanta, and they went to that rally, and it was all CGI. It was all fake. I was like, why are you lying? Like it is such a cope. You're lying to me. You're lying on something that's really easy to disprove. You're lying to yourself. People are lying to Trump. And it's just like, yeah, we live in the United States of retardia. That's exactly right. We have the entire conservative right has descended in to the United States of retardia. And what's happened is it's almost a complete reversal from 2016. Whereas in 2016, it was like the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democrats who were so excited. And they were like, we're absolutely going to win. I don't even know why we're talking about this. Everyone knows we're going to win. Don't pay attention to those Trump rallies. Don't pay attention to them. We're absolutely going to win. And the Trump campaign just kept chugging along and doing these rallies and switching things up and doing the meme wars and stuff like that. And who was surprised at the end of the day? Well, it was the Clinton campaign when they lost on election night, right? And now we have a complete role reversal in that it's Kamala Harris that has all the momentum. It's Kamala Harris that's doing these big rallies. Trump isn't even campaigning right now. Trump actually spoke to this in the press conference. Someone asked Trump, like, why aren't you campaigning right now? And Trump was like, I've got a really big lead, and I just want to let Kamala have the DNC, and I've got a really big lead. I don't really need to worry about it. He is exactly like Hillary Clinton in 2016, who is not taking this seriously. Meanwhile, the entire conservative influencer base is lying about what's going on, provably lying about what is going on. And in the meantime, there are people that, like me, and just for people who might be new to me, I actually don't have a dog in this fight because I'm not voting. Or if I do vote, it's probably going to be for Chase Oliver. It's not going to be for Trump, and it's not going to be for Harris. I'll tell you that right now. I am not voting for Trump or Harris. If I vote at all, it'll probably be for Chase Oliver, who is a libertarian who I think deserves more support than he's getting, quite frankly. But I say this because I really don't have a dog in this fight. I actually don't care. I don't care who wins. I really don't care. And conservatives can whine and complain about that all they want, but the fact of the matter is the absolute unhinged delusion that I am seeing on the conservative right is part of the reason why I am actually firmly committed to not voting for Trump. And because it's beyond. It's like, I can't take this anymore. It is beyond. And I'm not going to tell anyone what to do. I'm like, you guys can all do what you want. But the thing of it is I just think it's such a shame. I really do. Because after Trump got shot in the face, my vote was Trump's to lose. And then he lost it the very next week at the RNC because the RNC was a massive, massive, massive disaster. And he lost it when he kept announcing Project 2025. And he lost it when he selected J.D. Vance to be his vice president. And J.D. Vance immediately goes out and starts talking about using the big bombs on Iran. And there's any number of reasons. And this press conference is just another reason. It's like Trump is delusional. The entire conservative base is effing delusional. I don't want Kamala Harris to be president at all. But I don't actually think this is my problem to solve because I'm just some random girl sitting in New Hampshire with a YouTube channel and a Twitter account talking about what I see going on. So I have no control over this. Do you know who does have control over this? Trump, Trump's campaign advisors, and conservative effing influencers. And none of them seem to actually understand what's going on. So as much as I don't actually want to see Kamala Harris be president, I'm also at this point just really kind of like, here is how I feel about it. If Trump loses, it's their own damn fault. It is their fault. Trump needs to fire his campaign advisors. He needs to fire Chris Lasavidas. He needs to fire Susie Willis. He needs to do it right now. He needs to replace them with something else because what is going on right now is not working and it is driving people away. And I just don't even know how else I can explain this to people who are not just like these bullheaded conservatives who just don't want to listen to anyone that is not in their echo chamber, because that's what's happening right now. The only people that conservatives are listening to are people in their echo chamber that are speaking the approved talking points, and I personally find it to be quite frightening. So I thought we could do a little bit on this today. I thought we could watch a little bit of this press conference. Also, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz had some sort of event. It looks like with the unions in Detroit. This just happened less than an hour ago. And I thought maybe we could look at that because here's the thing. It is obvious to me that conservatives are not actually watching the Kamala Harris events. And this is, again, kind of like back in 2016. Every time Trump held a rally, even during Trump's presidency, every time Trump held a rally, Trump supporters would be like, why aren't you listening to Trump? Why aren't you watching the rallies? Why aren't you listening to the speeches? Liberals don't listen to Trump. Why does no one listen to Trump? Well, why aren't conservatives listening to Kamala Harris? Because Kamala Harris is the opponent. Kamala Harris is the person that they actually do need to beat. So why is no one listening to her? Why are conservatives just making up these outlandish things? Because we don't want to listen to her and she's not black. Really? Really? You think you can beat someone that you don't listen to? You think you can beat someone that you don't understand? You think you can beat someone by lying about the size of their crowds and whether or not they're making, because here's the reality, guys. And again, I personally do not like Kamala Harris. I don't. But Kamala Harris is doing really well in the events that I've watched, and I've watched a couple of her events now. I watched the Atlanta rally, and I watched the rally where she did with Tim Walz when he accepted the nomination for vice president. I watched that. I've watched clips here and there. Kamala Harris looks presidential, and you might not like that, but that's the way it is. And the reason she looks presidential, and I've talked about this a million times, so I'm sorry if you're hearing me repeat it, but there might be new people here. The reason Kamala Harris looks presidential is Kamala Harris now has the entire DNC apparatus around her. They're writing all her scripts for her. They're doing media training. They're doing a lot of prep work. They've given her a makeover. The makeup's done real nice. They've gotten her new clothes. They've polished her up like a nice shiny penny, and she's literally a puppet for them. She's just going out and saying what she's told to say. And the same thing is true with Tim Walz. They've got the entire establishment that has rallied around them, and they've got the entire mainstream media that's going to be supporting them. And I'm sorry, guys, you might not like her. You might think she's a bitch. You might think that she's not black. You might think that you might say, but she never got any votes. It doesn't matter if she never got any votes, because now she is the candidate. Prior to her becoming the candidate, she did not have the entire DNC apparatus working for her. Now she does. You are not playing the same game you were playing with Kamala Harris in 2020. You are not playing the same game you were playing with Kamala Harris when she was just the vice president. Kamala Harris is now the Democratic nominee for president. It is a different ball game. And if you keep trying to play the old game, I mean, best of luck to you, but they're not playing that game anymore. It is a completely new game. So I thought we could watch a little bit of this. I haven't seen any of this. What else do I have here? Oh, by the way, Laura Loomer has finally caught up. I got to give credit for Laura Loomer, because Laura Loomer was attacking Nick Fuentes, like a month ago, when Nick Fuentes started saying, like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Nick Fuentes started sounding the alarms about this. Nick Fuentes has gotten attacked all over the place for saying Trump is not doing good and Trump's campaign advisors are bad. Now, Laura Loomer has been tweeting basically all day about how maybe Trump needs to make some serious changes in his campaign. And she's right. You know what? Better late than never. You have to welcome people to the party when they get to the party. That's okay. That's okay. I've also got a clip from Nick Fuentes pulled up last night, because he did a great kind of monologue last night on everything that's wrong with the Trump campaign and why they're losing. I thought we could watch a little bit of that. Yeah, I mean, I think he's already is getting vindicated. Did anyone see this show last night? Because Nick, I mean, first of all, the tie was a really good tie. I appreciate it. It's a very nice shade of blue. It brought out Nick's eyes. I thought that was a good thing. But also the monologue about the Trump campaign, really, really on point. So we might watch a little bit of that. I have a Twitter space queued up this Twitter space happened right after the press conference. And you see, I was supposed to be a speaker, but but the sound kept effing up. So I couldn't be a speaker in it, but I was added as a speaker at one point. And sadly, I didn't get to say anything, because the sound in the Twitter space kept dropping out, so I kept having to leave. But, whatever. There's also future Twitter spaces, but I thought maybe we could listen to a little bit of this if we have time. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, guys. Lots of serious Trump-related business. But before we get into that, do you guys mind if I do a little bit of drama? Just for me. Just while we're starting out, we're going to watch a lot of Trump today, but do you guys mind if I just update you on a little bit of personal internet drama? Because it's kind of hilarious. Can we do the gossip first? Can we do that? Well, I don't know how I missed this. I don't know what happened, because usually when James Lindsay says stuff about me, people notify me like immediately. Like, it is like I have people in my DMs, I have screenshots flying around, and for some reason it took 2 days for me to find out about this. Hang on, before we get into the drama, let me just let me go to the super chat. Why don't I have super chats? What is going on? What is going on? Hang on. Naruto sent in a super chat earlier. I saw that Cori Bush lost her primary. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. We'll talk about that maybe another day. Nathaniel said, give us the drama, oh glorious cult leader. Yeah, I'll give you the drama. I'll give you the drama. I'll update my super chat total, and then I will give you the James Lindsay update drama. So as you guys know, James Lindsay, who pretends to know more about socialism and the left than I do, likes to do these character assassinations on me, where James Lindsay is not capable of arguing with me intellectually. And so what he does is he retweets troll accounts that are lying about me. And I got to tell you guys, this one just takes the cake. This one just takes the cake. Because I have this psycho on Twitter. His name is Frank McCormick. Frank really doesn't like that I'm friends with the Groypers. Frank really doesn't like that I support Nick Fuentes. And so Frank has taken to flat out lying about me to generate outrage. And so Frank made this post on Twitter the other day after losing hundreds of Groypers followers for attacking Christians. By the way, that didn't actually happen. Frank is making that up. I may have blocked Brittany and Mio for starting unnecessary drama, but I did not lose hundreds of Groyper followers. All the major Groyper accounts still follow me. All the major Groyper accounts are still have been tweeting at me in the last day and a half. But Frank likes to make things up. After losing hundreds of Groyper followers for attacking Christians, Dr. Cluster B, because they're diagnosing me with a personality disorder I don't have, is trying to speak to Hitler in the afterlife in a desperate attempt to get back her lost audience. I'm sure he'll love a childless Canadian free spirit with tattoos and purple hair. There's so much to unpack in this tweet. I think possibly the most offensive thing that Frank said about me in this tweet is that I'm Canadian. I'm not Canadian. I'm not a Canadian. Like, what the fuck? I was born in Vermont. Now, admittedly, Vermont is really close to Canada. I was within driving distance of Canada. Occasionally, my parents would bring me into the bustling metropolis of Montreal for like a weekend or something like that. But I was born in Vermont. I know, like, what the fuck? When did I denounce my United States citizenship? I mean, please let me know. Now, it is true I do have tattoos, although I don't have purple hair, although my hair is redder than it comes across on video. But like, Frank's real beef is that I did this show called Disenrage. And Disenrage is a thing I've had for a while, where it's a show about spirituality and mindfulness and all this stuff. And on the latest episode of Disenraged, I watched, and you guys can fact check this, I watched a video that's on another channel called Afterlife Interview with Hitler. This is actually a video that I've been wanting to watch on the channel for a really long time, even pre-Groyper, but like it actually has a lot more relevance now that the Groypers are in my life, and we're communicating with each other. So I had a week off this week because my co-host Jennifer was on vacation. And I was like, well, why don't I just watch this Hitler Afterlife interview that's been on my list like for a while? And so this is literally just an interview that is a video that someone else had on their channel that I watched and we talked about, and that was it. And it wasn't even that big of a thing. And that's all it was. But Frank is telling people that I literally channeled Hitler. Listen, man, I wish I could channel. I'm not a channel. I'm not a medium. I actually think this actually did give me a good idea. I kind of wonder if I can find a medium to channel Hitler for me. And then that way we can have a conversation with the spirit of Hitler, because I have questions. I have so many questions. I actually think that would be a really fun exercise. If anyone knows a channel that can help me do this, that wants to come on the channel and actually channel the spirit of Hitler so that we can ask Hitler questions, I think that would be great. But that's not what happened. All we did was watch a video. And this is one of those things that's so easy to fact check. And so the reason I bring this up is James Lindsay, and of course the psycho Carrie Smith, and this is actually how I found out about it. James Lindsay retweeted this to his audience, telling his audience that I literally channeled Hitler. And of course, if you go into the comments, you're going to see all sorts of things. She's psychotic. She's a narcissist. She's a cluster bee. Blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the thing. Here's why I bring this up. Here's why I bring this up. If Frank McCormick and Carrie Smith and James Lindsay can't do a basic fact check to look at a video that's freely available on the internet and be like, did Carlin really try to channel Hitler? Again, not that there's anything wrong with that. If I can find a medium to help me channel Hitler, I think that'd be cool as hell. But the fact of the matter is that's not what happened. And my point is this, like, if this brain trust cannot be relied upon to do a basic fact check about, did this actually happen, or are we just making things up to engage in a character assassination? Then what else are they lying about? I'm being serious, guys, because this is one of those things where it's like, you have to understand that people who do these types of character assassinations, there's a reason that they are incapable of engaging in intellectual discussions, because they don't know what they're talking about and they're not a reliable source of information. And you have to look at stuff like this and be like, when it's something that is so easy to disprove, why are they lying about it? This tweet from James Lindsay has 17,000 views. Look at this. People in his comments believe him. Oh, and this is their big own on me, by the way. This is their big own, is they post this photo of me from the PragerU video, and it's like, bro, are you just jealous that I had a PragerU video and you didn't? Is that it? All these people believe that James Lindsay and Frank McCormick are telling the truth. None of them bother to do a basic fact check, and this is for something silly, right? What else are they lying to you about? How many other things has James Lindsay lied to you about? I know that James Lindsay's lied to people about an awful lot. That things that are far more important than whether or not I channeled Hitler. And so I just want to make everyone aware of that this is the level of retardia that the drama on Twitter has now ascended to, where people that are putting themselves in positions of informing the public are not able to do a basic fact check. Yeah. Meanwhile, I've aged in reverse. I have aged in reverse. I look better. My makeup was like so old lady on that, by the way. I mean, PragerU did my makeup. I've lost weight. I look better. My hair looks better. My glasses are better. Everything is better. You know, winning, I guess. I mean, that picture was taken over 4 years ago. So I feel okay about the situation. But then I had this guy. Does anyone know who this guy is? JD Haltigan? I don't know who this guy is. He was following me up until like today. And so he retweeted this and said, Dr. Cluster B is trying to speak to Hitler in the afterlife. Incredible timeline we're living in. This guy is a PhD psychologist. That is, again, it's like diagnosing my personality, like a personality disorder that I don't even have publicly. PhD psychologist. I got your super chat. Don't worry. So I reached out to this guy and I was like, bro, do you want to come on my channel and talk to me? Do you want to? And I would actually do this. I'm 100% serious. I don't even know who this guy is, but he claims to be a PhD psychologist. And so I'm a PhD psychologist. I'm a PhD psychologist. He's a PhD psychologist. I would absolutely invite him on the channel to have a conversation about my mental health. He could diagnose me. He could even ask my audience questions. I'm sure you guys would be more than open to answering them. But amazingly, he hasn't actually responded, and all he did was unfollow me on Twitter. So I pinged him again, and I said, Bro, you're a PhD level psychologist diagnosing my mental health on Twitter. Don't you think we should talk? Do you want to have a conversation about this? Maybe we could talk about other stuff too. And so I put that out there on Twitter. And then I was like, who the hell is this guy? Because he has like 30,000 followers or something like that. He has like almost 30,000 followers. Who the hell is he? So I looked him up. Look whose channel he's on. The very first video that comes up. Stepmom Deb Fillman. It never fails. It never fails. The people who diagnose me with a personality disorder without talking to me, without ever looking at my content, without engaging in a moment of critical thought, are always and universally connected to the same people. And stepmom Deb Fillman is always at the heart of it. This is a woman who has literally pressured people. She goes into people's DMs and she's like, if you don't publicly denounce Carlin, then I'm going to smear you and destroy your reputation. I have screenshots of her doing this. So always and forever, stepmom Deb Fillman, Carrie Smith. Again, we can go back to this post from James, Carrie Smith retweeting this. And none of it's even true. And this is the state. Even my dog's upset. Can you hear? This is the state of the so-called anti-woke community, where they're not capable of critical thought. They're not capable of doing a basic fact check. It's just outrage every single day. And so if you guys would like your anti-woke coverage without outrage, please make sure you subscribe to my Substack. That is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. This is where you can get real information written in plain English about what the left is doing. Right now, I'm in the middle of my re-education series where every single day, I'm posting a new short article that's kind of like an onboarding program. My dogs are really excited about this too. It's kind of like an onboarding program for people who are new to my content. So this is going to be really perfect for people who haven't read my content before to come and kind of get up to speed with what we've been doing on the left. For people who don't know me, I have spent over the last 3.5 years thousands of hours watching far left training, going undercover at far leftist events, recording all their stuff, making videos of it on the internet. I have a massive archive on my channel and on my second channel, youtube.com/activelyunwoke, where you can see all of this. You can find archives of trainings for years and years and years and years and years. And how I analyze the left is I look at what they're doing in the real world and I show you what they're doing and we break down the language and then we make it in plain English so everyone can understand it. And that is what we're doing over on the Substack right now. If you appreciate my work, I would love your support today. $8 a month, $80 a year over on the Substack keeps me in business. And I can't do it without you guys. So I really do appreciate everyone who supports my work. I appreciate all the great feedback you guys are giving me on the re-education series. I've got an article about equity coming out tomorrow for that one. And so we're cranking over here. So no matter what James Lindsay says or what these anti-woke influencers do, they're only doing it because I, quite frankly, am better at analyzing and explaining the left than anyone else on the internet. And anyone who interacts with my content knows that. And it's pretty clear. And that is why James Lindsay has to do things like engage in absurd character assassinations that aren't even real because he's so desperate to prevent people from seeing my content that he doesn't engage in intellectual debates. He just lies about me to his 500,000 followers on Twitter. That's okay. The truth will always prevail in the end. And I know I've got a great community of people behind me that do support the work I'm doing. And I really appreciate you guys. All right, with the drama out of the way, let's start with the Trump press conference, shall we? Now, who in the chat? Press 1 in the chat if you watched any of this press conference. Press 2 in the chat if you did not watch this press conference. Let me know. And of course, guys, please make sure you mount the like button. If you have not yet mounted the like button, mounting the like button lets YouTube know to recommend my stream to more people so we can have more friends come and join us and help us get through this time. Looks like a lot of 2s in the chat. Lot of 2s in the chat. So got some 1s too. Pretty even mix. Maybe like, 30, 70, something or other. So some of you will be seeing this for the first time. I don't think we're going to watch the whole thing, but I'm maybe going to skip around a little bit. I just want to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what this press conference was like. And here's the thing. This is another conservative cope right here. You think conservatives are unhinged? Well, I think liberals are unhinged. Bro, do you think this does anything for any voters at all? Do you think continuing to live in denial about the failures of your candidate and your own side while saying, no, it's not us who's unhinged, it's liberals? Do you think that does anything for anyone but people who are already just MAGA cultists? I'm going to give you a hint. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. That's only for you guys. No one else cares. All right, let's see what happened.
How to handle them or how to handle any other situation. We have a lot of bad things coming up. You could end up in a depression of the 1929 variety, which would be a devastating thing. Took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that. And we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war. We have people that don't know how to handle it. They're not respected. All over the world, they're laughed at. And we can't have that. Most dangerous period of time I've ever seen for our country. With that being said, we have somebody that hasn't received one vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But
By the way, that's not actually true. Kamala Harris has now officially become the Democratic nominee for president, so she has actually received votes. She received the votes from the delegates in a Zoom call.
Given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against the somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided to do that because Kamala's record is horrible. She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen. She picked a radical left man that is, he's got things done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. Heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds having to do with safety. He doesn't want to have borders. He doesn't want to have walls. He doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country. He doesn't mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she, I guess, because she's not, she couldn't care less. She's the border czar. By the way, she was the border czar 100%. And all of a sudden, for the last few weeks, she's not the border czar anymore, like nobody ever said it.
So I got about this far into the press conference when I was listening to it live earlier. And you know what I wrote on Twitter? I wrote something to the effect of, Trump is basically, he's kind of like your drunken uncle at the family reunion, where everyone's gotten together and you've got a few beers and you're sitting out in the backyard and you're eating hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, your uncle wants to tell you about everything going on in the world, and he just rambles and goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's your job to sit there and go, okay, yep. And you just eat your food and you don't interrupt and you just let it go. That's what Trump was reminding me of at this moment.
And I just hope that the media becomes more diligent, more honest, frankly, because if they're not going to be honest, it's going to be much tougher to bring our country back. We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing. That was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. And fortunately, we've had some very good polls over the last fairly short period of time. Rasmussen came out today. We're substantially leading, and others came out today that we're leading, and in some cases substantially, I guess, MS.
Well, this is actually a really good point, Sam. I was thinking about this during the press conference as well. Sam says, I'm a Trump supporter and I'm starting to wonder why he sounds like Biden. This is another problem that conservatives and Trump voters and Trump himself are not being honest about. Trump is almost 80 years old. Kamala Harris is like 60. She's not young, but she's not old. She's not like, she comes across as younger than 60 to me. She comes across like she's maybe in her 50s, like something like that, which is like relatively young. You're running for president, right? Human beings evaluate things by contrast. Okay. So when you had Trump versus Biden, Biden looked like a walking corpse. Biden couldn't get a coherent sentence out. He was mumbling. He was shuffling. It's obvious that the brain is no longer there. And so if you're comparing Trump to Biden, if you're comparing Trump to Biden, Trump looks spry. He looks young. He looks tan. He looks like he has energy. He is saying things coherently relative to Biden. Okay. But now we've taken Biden out of the picture. Biden is no longer the nominee. And we've brought in Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is younger than Trump. She has more media training than Trump. She's getting better prep than Trump. She's speaking more coherently than Trump. She's speaking in shorter, concise sentences. And you'll see that when we watch her event later. She's obviously got her stump speech just down packed and memorized, and she's just going to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. But it sounds really good and put together and concise. Whereas Trump is now rambling. He doesn't have cohesive talking points. He's doing it all off the top of his head extemporaneously. And so the comparison with Kamala Harris makes Trump look like the old drunk uncle at the family reunion who's just pontificating about life, and no one actually really cares what he has to say, but everyone's going to be nice to him because you're all just hanging out at a family reunion. And Kamala looks young and competent and presidential because she's got all the media training. She's doing all the prep work. So I don't think they know how to contend with this. They were anticipating that Trump was going to be running against Biden, who is a doddering, old, dementia-ridden man. And so Trump looked great by comparison, but now you swap out the nominee. This is a completely new game.
NBC came out, or CNBC came out also with a poll that was, has us leading.
Wait, I just ignored a whole bunch of super chats. I apologize, guys. I apologize. I ignored a whole bunch of super chats. My bad. Dragon Balls, will Dr. Halligan come on? Frank Nobody is insane and seeking attention. I just did a 6-hour hike in LA and I'm drinking a cookie butter beer in your honor. Oh, that sounds so good, Dragon Balls, to deal with the Trump BS, ensuing loss, and Marxist revolution. Yeah, I don't know if he'll come on. If you guys want him to come on, tag him on Twitter. Let him know. I think it would be great. Actually, I'm going to take a screenshot of this and be like, bro, people are asking for you. They're asking for you. But tag him on Twitter. Let him know. Rottweiler says, seems those people are in such disbelief that you're married to a Ukrainian dude. Yeah, see, this is the other thing, is that people don't understand. They look at me, they're like, she can't possibly be married. Yeah, I am married for 13 years to a man. I know I look like a lesbian, but no, I like dick. I really do. And so it doesn't even dawn on them that I'm like married to someone and I took his last name because they think I'm a feminist. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like try fact checking, bro. It's not really that hard to ask a question. Nick Incognito says, Detroit rally energetic, but Kamala dismissed protesters against the genocide, saying, all good, but I'm speaking now. Van Jones on CNN said it's a bad look. I didn't think it was a bad look at all. Those people aren't going to vote for her anyway. I thought it was actually a good look, but maybe we can talk about that another time, but I do appreciate that. And then Nathaniel, I appreciate the super chat. The content creator mindset is the most toxic thing for humanity. Fighting for the cause isn't worth it if it means you don't break the story or you hate the person who drops it, as fame is more important. We're cooked. Yeah, like I could go on and on and on about this for days, Nathaniel. I completely agree with you. I was so naive when I got into this space because I really thought that people cared about the problems more than they cared about like interpersonal bullshit. But no, they don't. It's just all competing for content, all competing for audiences. No one actually cares about solving problems or being productive. It's all about advancing a narrative and tribalism and all that stuff. And it's so depressing. And this is why I don't interact with other content creators, because content creators just disappoint me over and over and over again. Even when I find ones that I think are human beings that actually understand and have a higher perspective of the world, no, they inevitably disappoint me. Inevitably. Thanks for the super chat, though. I do appreciate it. All right.
And leading fairly big in swing states. In some polls, I'm leading very big in swing states because they want safety. People want safety. They want security. They want respect all around the world for our country. They don't want this horrible culture that is developing a culture of no common sense. It's really a culture of no common sense, and it's not what anyone wants. We want to have a safe country. We want to have a strong military. We want low interest rates, and we want to be able to have the American dream. We want to be able to have our youth be able to buy homes, housing, get good jobs. And we're really just at the opposite right now. It's so sad to see. But as a border czar, she's been the worst border czar in history, in the world history. I think the number is 20 million, but whether it's 15 or 20, it's numbers that nobody's ever heard before. 20 million people came over the border during the Biden-Harris administration. 20 million people, and it could be very much higher than that. Nobody really knows what the number is. Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. And the gotaways, they call them the gotaways. The gotaways are at numbers. Somebody was quizzing me on it the other day. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. They have no idea what those numbers are, but they're much higher than you would think. Just like far more people were killed in the Ukraine-Russia war than you ever report. Just like the October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit Ukraine had the election result been called differently. It was a very bad call, but Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. You wouldn't have inflation. A lot of great things would have happened, but now you have millions and millions of dead people, and you have people dying financially because they can't buy bacon, they can't buy food, they can't buy groceries, they can't do anything. And they're living horribly in our country right now. With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates.
Exactly
and
my
we've
point.
agreed with
Here we go.
Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those three dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor.
So this seems to be the entire point of the press conference, and this is really the only good piece of information that came out of the press conference is Trump is like, yeah, I've agreed to do 3 debates with Kamala Harris. So that'll actually be kind of fun. If there are 3 debates to cover in September, that's a lot of good content. I'd be looking forward to that. Now, here's the thing. Kamala Harris is going to be way better prepped for those debates because Kamala Harris is taking this seriously and Trump is not taking this seriously. So that was actually a good piece of information.
Details, audience, some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily. I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview.
Yeah,
she's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward.
Does anyone know what time that is on Monday? Trump's going to be talking with Elon. I might have to cover that live, so we might not have the supporter Zoom depending on what time it is.
To the debates, because I think we have to set the record straight. Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums? It's a mental institution on steroids. That's what it is. When you see the people that are coming into these are institutions that are being emptied out, not in South America, all over the world, including South America, all over the world. Prisons are being emptied out into our country.
So Trump, I just want to point this out. Like the big news, hey man, I'll do 3 debates with Kamala Harris. We just need Kamala to agree to do those debates with me, but I'll do 3 debates with Kamala Harris. It got completely wiped out because Trump just continues on this meandering ramble where now he's talking about something else. Okay.
Because we have a president that's the worst president in the history of our country. We have a vice president who is the least admired, least respected, and the worst vice president in the history of our country, the most unpopular vice president. And because of political reasons or because of being politically correct, even though she never received a vote. Don't forget, she was the first one defeated as I remember it, because I watched it very
That
closely,
doesn't
but she was the
matter.
first one. She never made it to Iowa, the first state. She never made it to Iowa.
Does not matter. Moriel mentioned this in the chat, and I'm curious. Do you think a bullet whizzing by his head has thrown his mental game and energy? No, I think this is just Trump being tired, because Trump was like this. The campaign, the energy of the campaign didn't change when Trump got shot. This has been the energy of the campaign the entire time. This has literally been the energy of the campaign since Trump launched this campaign. Do you guys all remember? We watched Trump's announcement speech live. What was that, 2 years ago or something like that? And even then we were like, Trump, that announcement speech wasn't good. There was no energy. There was nothing. There was nothing to get excited about. And the energy has been the same ever since. So I don't actually think this has to do with anything recent. I think this is Trump is tired. I think this is Trump kind of being over it. Trump is not the, like, conservatives keep being like coming into my feed going, Carlin, don't you remember 2016 when they were saying all this stuff and then Trump won anyway? And I'm like, Trump in 2024 is not the same Trump that was Trump in 2016. Trump in 2016 was funny. He was unpredictable. He was brash, but in a good way. You never knew what Trump was going to say. Trump in 2024 is completely boring, rambling old uncle that can't even, stick to one thought. He has to meander through a whole bunch of other thoughts because he doesn't do any prep because he thinks that he's winning and he thinks he doesn't have to. And it's like, it is completely different. This isn't even interesting for me to watch. It's the same old thing. It's the same thing we've heard at every single rally for years. It's the same thing we heard at the RNC. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's like there's no difference at all.
She was the first one that was defeated. She was the nastiest to him. She was nasty with calling him a racist and the school bus and all of the different things. She was very nasty to Biden. And shockingly, he appointed her, asked her to serve as vice president. Well, I don't know if he's happy about that decision right now. This was taken away. The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right.
All right,
to.
I'm going to fast forward to when Trump starts taking questions. Because let's hear Trump interacting with reporters. Nathaniel says, I remember when he announced he was running, he literally threw the fact that he's running for president in the middle of a massive ramble. Yes, that was what it was like in his announcement speech. And it was like, what? And Trump was like, all this stuff. And yeah, things stuck. And the country is horrible. And everything's communist and all this stuff. And I'm running for president again because, we got to fix all this stuff because everything sucks. That's what the announcement was like. And it was like, okay. And it was like, do you remember how we had to hype ourselves up for it? We were like, yeah, Trump is back, but it didn't really feel like that. It was more like, okay, Trump's not excited about this, but we can get excited about this. Can barely hear.
You have to speak louder.
A big part of the strategy for your campaign before Harris became the nominee was appealing to Black voters.
Yeah.
Black voters.
In polls, we really see Harris being out of that group. And I'm wondering how you are going to go after Black voters now that she's the nominee. And I'm really
Bro, anyone can look at statistics and polling in the betting market and know that Trump is going down and Kamala is going up. This is objectively true. Look at the betting markets. 2 weeks ago, Trump was heavily favored in the betting markets to win. This is Trump's trajectory in the betting markets. Trump is going down and down and down and down and down. Kamala Harris is going up and up and up and up and up. This is just objectively true. Again, Trump voters are delusional.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Perhaps, I was doing very well with Black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with Black males. This is according to polls,
Trump
as you
thinks it's
know.
gonna win the Black vote.
It's possible that I won't do as well with Black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with
He's gonna win
Hispanic.
the Black vote.
Jewish voters way up.
Oh, great.
White males way up. White males have gone through the roof.
I don't know
White
about
males
that.
way up. No, I don't know. All we're doing is giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're doing pretty well. And I think ultimately they'll like me better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on the throes of a depression, not recession, a depression. And they can't have that. They can't have that. So I think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the facts are right. Yeah, please, in the back.
What do you make of Kamala
Well,
Harris?
I don't know.
not
I
picking
know
Josh
Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at and her. And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people and her. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates. We think we should do 3 debates.
So they just asked Trump, will you do that one debate? And Trump's like, I don't know, maybe. One Chance Fancy, thank you for the super chat. What do you think is the number one thing the Trump campaign should do to take back momentum? Trump needs to fire his campaign advisors, Chris Lasavidas and Susie Willis. Trump needs to start listening to, quite frankly, Nick Fuentes. Honestly, if Trump wants to win, Trump needs to start fucking listening to Nick Fuentes. And he doesn't need to do this publicly. They can do some sort of back deal thing where they pretend they're not even talking, but they are talking and they're having secret phone calls and stuff like that. But the number one thing that Trump can do is listen to what Nick Fuentes is saying and follow his advice about how to get back all of these people that have been loyal to Trump for years that he is now alienating. Trump also needs to stop with the diversity bullshit. He needs to stop winning the black vote, which is never going to happen. And he's not going to win the Jewish vote either. He needs to stop putting the diversity bullshit ahead of appealing to his core base. He needs to stop focusing on moderates and liberals who aren't going to vote for him anyway and actually speak to core right-leaning ideas that are the things that got people excited about him in the first place. He needs to start saying mass deportation. He needs to start saying, like really emphasizing, I'm going to finish the wall. Like basically go back to his 2016 campaign, like roll out all the greatest hits. He needs to bring back the attitude. He needs to bring back the energy. Not this thing where he's just insulting people, because it is a fine line, isn't it? Between insulting people and doing something that's edgy and different and has energy. Now, Trump was edgy in 2016. He insulted people, but it was like a different type of thing. I feel like the insulting now is getting into like a mean-spirited insult. Whereas in 2016, it was more just kind of like, it was like teasing and stuff like that. It had a different energy to it. So I think there's a lot of things that Trump can do, but it starts with firing his campaign advisors, Chris Lasavidas and Susie Willis. And if Trump isn't going to do that, he's going to lose, is my opinion. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? What do you think Trump should do to turn this around? Okay, no one was excited for Kamala, yet the same people are excited for her now. Explain this. Listen, I don't mean to mock you, but like this is what conservatives have been saying over and over and over and over and over again. I will explain it to you specifically. Democrats thought they were running a corpse for president in the form of Joe Biden. No one was excited about running Joe Biden for president. The Democrats didn't want Joe Biden. The Democratic establishment didn't want Joe Biden. Everyone on the left had resigned themselves to the fact that they were going to lose to Donald Trump because their candidate was so effing bad. Then Biden gets taken out. The thing that they all hated gets taken out and replaced with Kamala Harris. And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter that Kamala Harris didn't get any votes in 2020. It doesn't matter that they had all voted for Joe Biden in the primary because they had to, because that was how the DNC ran their primary. None of that mattered, because the thing that they all hated was replaced with a new, shinier thing. And was Kamala Harris an ideal candidate? No, not at all. But in the choice between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, she looks a lot effing better. She's younger. She's a woman. She's black. She's got energy. She doesn't have dementia. They've groomed her up to be very presidential. And now all of a sudden, all of these Democrats who they had resigned. Do you guys have any experience with, like, you're just like, okay, well, we're totally fucked. We're totally fucked. Everything is awful. It's over. It's over. And you resign yourself to that idea that, you know what, we're just effed and there's nothing you can do about it. And then all of a sudden something happens. And then all of a sudden you're back and you're like, holy shit, we could actually win? Oh my God. It doesn't matter if the thing that happened is the ideal thing. What matters is that swapping out Kamala Harris for in place of Joe Biden gave them hope. It gave them energy. They're like, holy shit, we might actually win. We might not have to, we get to vote against Trump again. And it doesn't matter. None of the rest matters. So continuing to go back and say, she never got any votes. They don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care at all. Kamala Harris is packing these rallies for real. These are people that are excited for her. It is not a free concert. They are excited that now they have hope. Now they have a chance. They're about to have their big convention in Chicago in like a week and a half or whatever. That's why.
We think Fox and ABC, and we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential, and I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job. Say it.
Are you worried about the size of
give me a
Harris's
break.
crowd? This is the one I want to watch. Look at this.
Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my kid.
No. And see, here's where we're going into the land of delusion. Kamala Harris did not have 2,000 people yesterday. Kamala Harris had two separate rallies yesterday where both of them drew over 10,000 people. Now, you might say, well, Trump had 100,000. Okay, fine. But this is not Joe Biden in 2020. This is not a Joe Biden rally that's drawing a couple dozen people during COVID. This is Barack Obama energy. This is what it was like with Barack Obama when he won. So Trump is lying about the size of Kamala Harris's crowds, probably because he's got people lying to him about it, or he's just completely delusional himself. But to say that Kamala Harris only had a couple thousand people yesterday is just factually, provably untrue based on primary source video.
Campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, where they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying, turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm.
Delusional.
Because people want to see crime stopped.
Wrong.
They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. Zero chance.
Press 1 in the chat if you believe that Trump has all the momentum and all the enthusiasm. Press 2 in the chat if you believe Kamala Harris has all the energy and all the enthusiasm.
Wouldn't have
1 for Trump, 2 for Kamala.
had October 7th of Israel. You wouldn't have the horrible withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal, because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we were going to do it with dignity and strength. And we were keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well.
Have it, Kamala.
We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed, and we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers obliterated. No legs, no arms, the face. None of that would have happened. And you wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had any inflation, because inflation was caused by their bad energy problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes. I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, $9 a barrel. So they said, we better do what Trump. But the day after the election, if they won, you're going to have fuel prices go through the roof. Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that.
Keep in mind, this was a question about Kamala Harris's crowd sizes, and Trump has now meandered over to energy for some reason.
Got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market. People want gasoline-propelled cars. They want hybrids. They want to have everything, and they want electric. But they want everybody to have an electric car. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make enough electricity for that.
Big cope.
And you know what else? The weight of a car, the weight of a truck. They want all trucks to be electric. Little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times heavier. You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous policy. So, but on crowd size, in history, for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have. And you know that. And when she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts.
Remember, guys, Trump had the crowd size in 2022, didn't he? Trump had all these giant ass rallies in 2020. Joe Biden had no one, never left his basement. Who ended up winning? And now you're comparing Kamala Harris, who is packing arenas. She's packing a venue with 10,000 plus people, which is nothing to sneeze at. And you're telling me that she doesn't have the momentum?
Let's jump in. You know that if I had 1,000 people would say that's the end of his campaign. I have hundreds of thousands of people in South Carolina. I had 88,000 people. In Alabama, I had 68,000 people. Nobody says about crowd size with me, but she has 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and they say, "Oh, the enthusiasm's back." No. The enthusiasm is with me and the Republican Party. Because they want to stop crime. They want to stop people from pouring into our country from places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody ever heard of. That's where the enthusiasm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I can or not. I got him elected. Without me, he wouldn't be governor. I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it. But if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot.
No,
we're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot.
No, they're not.
So, but I don't know. Now in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly for some reason, and you'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get repaired. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia is a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina by records and lose Georgia. It doesn't happen. And the people.
It literally did happen, though. It literally did happen. And it's going to happen again.
People of Georgia understand that. There was tremendous anxiety and problems in Georgia. A lot of people say, what happened? And we have to, all we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, we have honest elections in Pennsylvania, we're going to win them by a lot. Well, he actually said it two ways. First, he said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that, right? You know, if you watch him, he said it two ways. No. I mean, he said it two ways because he doesn't really know what he's saying. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? You know, he had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up.
I just wanted to give people a taste of that press conference. I think we've watched enough of that because there's some other things I want to watch. And the next thing I want to watch, unless people really object to that, can we move on? Because I want to watch a little bit of this Kamala Harris and Tim Walz event that happened at the same time. So we've gotten a little taste of the so important press conference that Trump just had to have today to prove that he's talking to the press and Kamala Harris is not talking to the press. Now I want to get a little taste of what happened with the Harris-Walz campaign. And is there anyone here that actually has not watched any of Kamala Harris's campaign events? Will this be new information, anyone? Because listen, I understand that some of you, probably most of you, don't like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I totally get it. But you need to hinge into reality and see what they're actually saying and doing. All right, this was in Detroit earlier today, couple hours ago, actually. It's very recent. And they're doing some event with like union auto workers or something.
We say historic Local 900 because
Hang on. We'll get this looking good. There we go. Fast forward a little bit. Hang on. I got to fast forward. I don't care what this guy has to say. I want to get to the candidates. Come on. Hang on, guys. Sorry, trying to get to the candidates. Oh, come on.
Are you ready to show up for the Harris?
Okay, here we go.
I know you are. So UAW family, it's time to go to work. It is my ultimate honor to introduce Governor Tim Walz.
What did Nick say?
Mr. President, the American worker has no greater friend than you and your members. Thank you for what you do every single day. And your sisters and brothers here in this spot as a union member, thank you for the privilege. This is holy ground for unions, Local 900.
Okay, so Nick, and I know the sound is a little less than ideal, guys, but we just need to manage. Nick Fuentes just tweeted, the Trump campaign is in a death spiral. I have been saying it since he announced in 2022 and especially the past few months. Everyone said I was insane. He has no ground game, no ad spending. Vance sucks, and the messaging is totally unfocused. He will lose if nothing changes. Nick Fuentes is right. He's right. I think we need to start focusing on the House and Senate. Trump looks done. That would be really good advice, Richard. I think that makes a ton of sense. Thanks so much for the super chat.
The union member understands what this place stands for and what it means. So thank you for having me here. And each and every one of you, thank you for the privilege of walking that paper line with you last year. Thank you for allowing us to lift up our voices in Minnesota. The work that you did, it didn't just benefit UAW workers, it benefited all workers. I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and couldn't be prouder to stand with UAW. Think about this, 89 wake-ups. I've been saying this, 89 days, we can do anything for 89 days. Telling people sleep when you're dead, you got work to do right now. 89 days to make Kamala Harris next president of the United States. this leader that's very simple. She stands on the side of the American people and the American worker. She's the one who took on the predators, the fraudsters, the transnational gangs, and she's the one that stands up against the billionaires in the corporate greed.
Listen, this guy is like, I know this guy looks older than he is. I think he's the same age as Kamala Harris. There's energy. There's focused talking points. This is not Trump getting up and rambling. Okay? This is someone who is prepped.
And she has a long record of delivering for union members, and organized labor.
Thank you.
All right, everybody in this room knows, I keep saying this. This is a bit of preaching to the choir, but the choir needs to sing. We know the unions built the middle class. The rest of America has to. You know who doesn't believe that? Donald Trump. He sees the world entirely differently. And it really starts with this when I look at community and neighbors and unions and the word that Sean said, unity. This guy doesn't know the first thing about unity or service. He's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, you see it. He put himself above us. He weakened our country to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. That says nothing about how he dealt with his president. We lived through it. We lived through it. He froze in the face of COVID, and our neighbors died because of it. And by doing nothing about COVID, he drove this economy into the ground. And I want to be very clear about this, because there's a lot of lies that happen here. Violent crime was up when Donald Trump was president. Without even counting his crimes. It was still. So this is very simple. You know it. And it's going to take a heck of a lot of hard work. But this election is a simple choice. What direction and what's our country going to look like? What direction are we going in? You know what? We said it. Donald Trump's going to take it backwards. We said it. Not going back. And this thing of playing dumb when he sits on the planes with these billionaires and says, I don't know anything about Project 2025. I just fly on the planes with them. You know what it's going to do. One of the goals of that plan is simple. They know this has been going on forever. Get rid of labor unions, you get rid of the voices that we bring. They can do whatever the hell they want there. If Trump returns, he's going to learn something from last time. He didn't get the job done. This time, it will be far, far worse, and he will get the job done and make sure that we can organize collectively to improve our lives.
Hang on, I got a super chat from Nathaniel. Thank you, Nathaniel, for the super chat. I hate both Harris and Walz, and I hate that they're going to become my leaders. Anyway, I'm off. Have a lovely rest of your stream. I feel the same way. I don't like Kamala Harris. I don't like Tim Walz. I don't think they'd be good for the country. I think it's a bad idea. However, I'm also a very big fan of the idea that you get what you fucking deserve. And right now, these are the people that we deserve. Because Donald Trump and the Republican Party and his campaign advisors are failing on every single goddamn level. And if you're not going to listen and you're going to be stubborn and you're going to dig in your heels and you're not going to correct course when it is obvious and clear what is happening to anyone that is looking at this objectively, then you get what you fucking deserve. Thanks, Nathaniel. Have a great rest of your day.
That's what's coming. So whether he cuts the middle class, makes it more difficult to own a home, whether it repeals the Affordable Care Act so you can't get health insurance, are the things that you know they talk about. Cutting Social Security and Medicare. You know what? When you got $1 billion, you don't give a damn about the Social Security check. But if you're like my mom and you depend on the Social Security check as your sole income, it's pretty damn important. And I've been saying it, you've been hearing me say it. They will ban abortion across this country no matter what Congress says. Now look, damn right it is, and I don't know why this is so simple or so difficult for these people to understand. You know how things work really well in life, and really well with your neighbors, and really well in communities when you mind your own damn business. He's not fighting for you. He doesn't know you. He doesn't care about your family.
I did a podcast about this the other day, Mary. You can find it over on the Substack if you want, carlin.substack.com. Link in the description below. There's a podcast link up in the upper menu. I don't think either of them are socialists. I actually don't. And I know that might be surprising to people. I think that Kamala Harris wants power and will say and do whatever she needs to do to get in positions where she has power. I think Kamala Harris had socialist parents, and so she knows socialist words and socialist ideas, but I don't think she herself is a socialist. I also don't think Tim Walz is a socialist. I think Tim Walz wanted to be governor in a state that is very, very leftist, and so in order to get elected in the state of Minnesota, he had to be far left in his policies because his legislature is far left in their policies. There's a whole queer caucus in Minnesota. So, and I don't mean to break anyone's heart by saying this, but like I listen to socialists all the time. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz don't talk like socialists. They don't advance socialist policies. They don't advance socialist ideas, but they're put into contexts where it might seem like they are if you can't compartmentalize the difference. I think these are two politicians. I think they're on the left, but I think they're Democrats. And Democrats are not the same as socialists. Progressives are not the same as socialists. And so that's kind of my thought on it. But what I am anxious about is I want to see how the far left reacts to this, because the far left hates Kamala Harris. The real socialists hate Kamala. She was a cop. Real socialists hate cops. I want to see how the left reacts to Tim Walz, and I don't yet have a good sense of that.
And his running mate is just as dangerous and backward as he is. So look, we know who they are. The choir's ready to sing. This campaign's about the future, your future. Vice President Harris sure knows that. She grew up in a middle-class family. She goes to work every day making sure families are on the front so that they can get ahead and they can get into the middle class. She believes in something so simple and so beautiful. And when we go to these rallies, I say it to people drive, they sit in the sun, they get there, they stand next to their neighbor for one simple reason. And just like the Vice President says, they believe in their hearts in the promise of America. They believe. So, sisters and brothers in the UAW, how great is this going to be? Please join me in welcoming the next president.
Okay, so let me just say, first of all, can we hear it against Tim Walz? You know, some people have been asking, what do you and Tim Walz have in common? I said, well, you know, a whole lot. You know, we grew up the same way. We grew up in a community, you know, I mean, he grew up in Nebraska. Me, Oakland, California. Seemingly worlds apart. But the same people raised us.
Well, I mean, claiming the Dems are commies hasn't worked before. It isn't going to work now. I mean, that's exactly it. It's one of those things where, like, they've overused the term where it means nothing. And so, like, you know, and that's because, like, the right doesn't actually, the right is not actually serious about stopping socialism, communism. They're not. They just use it as a talking point.
Good people, hardworking people, people who had pride in their hard work, you know, people who had pride in knowing that we were a community of people who looked out for each other.
Right. Yeah.
You know, raised by a community of folks who understood that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it's based on who you lift up. And you know, this perversion that's happened in our country in the last several years, where there's a suggestion that somehow strength is about making people feel small, making people feel alone. But isn't that the very opposite of what we know unions know to be strength? It's about the collective. It's about understanding no one should ever never be made to fight alone. That we are all in this together. You know why I fought my entire career for unions and labor? Because I understand the concept and the noble concept behind collective bargaining. And here it is. Fairness. Fairness. It's about saying, hey, in a negotiation, don't we all believe the outcome should be fair? I mean, who could disagree with that? The outcome should be fair. It should be fair, right? But when you're talking about the individual and a big company, and you're requiring that one individual to negotiate against a big company, how's that outcome going to be fair? So collective bargaining is about saying, let the collective come together around a common experience.
By the way,
Which
this is incredibly socialist. This talking point is incredibly socialist because the unions are controlled by the socialists. That's not to say that everyone in a union is a socialist, because a lot of people are forced to be in unions. But even though, again, I stand by this, I don't actually think Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are socialists. I think they are just politicians that want to get elected, and the unions are an important voting block for Democrats. But these talking points are very socialist.
at its core is about dignity and the dignity of labor. And then let the people come together to negotiate so you make the balance. And then the outcome will be fair. Right. And isn't that what we're talking about?
But it sounds good. It sounds really good, though.
We're saying we just want fairness. We want dignity for all people. We want to recognize the right all people have to freedom and liberty, to make choices, especially those that are about heart and home, and not have their government telling them what to do. Our campaign is about saying we trust the people. We see the people. We know the people. You know, one of the things I love about our country? We are a nation of people who believe in those ideals that were foundational to what made us so special as a nation. We believe in those ideals. And the sisters and brothers of labor have always fought for those ideals. Always fought for those ideals. And we know we are a work in progress. We haven't yet quite reached all of those ideals, but we will die trying because we love our country and we believe in who we are. And that's what our campaign is about. We love our country. We believe.
Yeah, exactly. Conservatives, all she does is laugh. No, that's not all she's doing. While Donald Trump is doing these long, meandering rambles in a press conference talking about every subject under the sun and looking like he's the drunken uncle at the family reunion, Kamala Harris is doing events like this where she's going, I'm going to protect you and we're going to protect freedom. And we just want things to be fair for everyone. And don't you want things to be fair for everyone? I want things to be fair for everyone. And you might think that this comes across as fake. I actually don't. I think she has been very, very, very well trained. And I think normal people are going to think that Kamala Harris is coming across as a better leader and more presidential than Donald Trump is right now. And this is the problem. This is what we're dealing with. She's not just cackling. She is more coherent. She is more prepped. She has better talking points. She looks more genuine. She has more leadership presence. They put her in some sort of campaign boot camp.
In our country, we believe in each other. We believe in the collective. We're not falling for these folks who are trying to divide us, trying to separate us, trying to pull us apart. That's not where the strength lies. And there's that. And so I say to all the members of UAW, and Sean Fain as the first two I talked to about this. I am so deeply honored as a lifelong supporter of union labor for Tim and I to have the endorsement of UAW. So deeply honored. Because you walk your walk. You walk your walk. And what we know, like we have talked about, we got 89 days to get this done. You know, the one thing about all of us is we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work. The thing that we like about hard work is we have fun doing hard work. Because we know what we stand for. And that's a big part of this campaign. You know, when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. We know what we stand for, and we stand for the people. And we stand for the dignity of work. And we stand for freedom. We stand for justice. We stand for equality. And so we will fight for all of it. And the bottom line about UAW is that I also know, and I'll say to all the friends watching, look, even if you're not a member of a union, you better thank unions. That 5-day work week. You better thank unions for that 8-hour work day. You better thank unions for that vacation time. So I'm here to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the sisters and brothers of UAW for all you are and all we will do over these next 89 days. God bless you. God bless you.
That was a lot better than that Trump press conference. I'm sorry. It just was. It objectively was. And I say that as someone who believes that all unions are socialists and they should be abolished. So next I want to go, I want to get the Nick Fuentes take, and I want you guys to see this. This was Nick Fuentes last night on his show talking about, and he just tweeted about this not too long ago about how the Trump campaign is in a death spiral. I want you guys to hear him expanding on why he thinks this. And I think he's 100% right with what he's saying. But he's getting attacked by a lot of MAGA people for saying it. So here is Nick on his show last night.
He's very weird. He looks weird.
He's talking about JD Vance here, by the way.
He acts weird. He talks weird. He is weird. He married an Indian in some Indian marriage ceremony. That's weird. He wrote a book shitting on his own people, talking about how no wonder everyone in my family married outside of our culture because we all suck. That's weird. He wrote in a blog that he wished he was a woman. That's weird. He wrote in his book that when he was a kid, he thought he was gay. That's weird. He grew a beard and went on Ozempic because he was a big fat...
Wait, did Joe Rogan really endorse RFK? That's funny.
That weird-looking guy. He's weird. And what has been the Trump campaign response? Hey, we're not weird. We are not weird. It's horrible. It's reactive.
So basically what he's talking about here, and maybe I should have started the clip in a different place, but this is where we are, so this is what we're going to go with. What he's talking about is like, there's been this thing ever since Kamala got the nomination where basically they've been saying JD Vance is weird, JD Vance is weird. And instead of having that kind of like 2016 kind of like edgelord energy that drove Trump to actually winning in 2016, conservatives are basically crying and having a meltdown over the fact that someone is calling JD Vance weird, which, by the way, is absolutely what's happening. The conservative meltdown and the whining and the crying that's been going on conservative media for weeks now is so unhinged and so ridiculous, and it's so off-putting. And I cannot adequately explain how it grates on me like nails on a chalkboard. The conservative whining. And it's like, someone calls JD Vance weird, the response should have been like, we don't give a fuck. Like, don't even acknowledge it. Why are you even playing into it? Who even cares? But no, The conservative response to it was to whine and complain and then start lying.
It's defensive. And they have let that dominate the news cycle for far too long. They let the Democrats define Vance. Vance did like 2 events in the first 2 weeks since he was announced, and they let the Democrats pigeonhole him as a weird guy.
Yep.
And every time he gets on the microphone,
that's what happens when you are purely reactionary instead of presenting your own forward-looking vision. When all you do is react to what the other side does, you give the other side the power to control you. I used to have this crazy bitch online who would, every single time I would mention someone on Twitter, she would give money to that person to, like, I guess, have penance for me mentioning them on Twitter. But it was the dumbest thing in the world, because not only did it not punish me at all for kind of being a little bit uppity on Twitter, it actually incentivized me to keep mentioning her, because I was like, I can get you to spend your money. You're literally giving me the power to spend your money for you. It doesn't hurt me at all if you spend your money. It doesn't hurt me at all if you give your money to someone else, but you're giving me this power over you. So I just kept mentioning her on Twitter, and I got her to spend probably hundreds of dollars just in like reactionary nonsense. When you are just reacting to what someone else is doing, they own you. Conservatives have not yet figured this out. They could come up with a positive, forward-looking vision. Here's what we want to do for the country. I don't care if people think this is weird. Here is what we're going to do for the country. But instead, a Democrat says, JD Vance is weird. And conservatives are like, no! And then they start crying, and then they start whining. Then the whole thing becomes about JD Vance being weird. And all of a sudden, all of the messaging about what you could be doing for the country is completely derailed, and the Democrats own them. This is why the Trump campaign is in trouble right now. Because they're completely they're just responding to everything. That press conference that Trump did earlier. That press conference that Trump did earlier was a reaction to Kamala Harris. Trump wouldn't have done that press conference if it wasn't for Kamala Harris. And you could tell that. What they need to do is stop reacting. They need to get proactive. They need to be the aggressors. They need to be more focused on what they're doing and not worrying about what the Democrats are doing. But no, here we are.
he lives up to it, but it gets better. So I noticed this yesterday and early today. There's been this hoax going around that J.D. Vance wrote in Hillbilly Elegy that he had sex with a couch. It's not real, but the Democrats started this rumor that J.D. Vance put like a latex glove inside out in between the couch cushions and had sex with it. Maybe you've seen it. And the Democrats have been spreading this idea that J.D. Vance has sex with a couch. And it's not real. That's fake. It's a total internet hoax, but they ran with it. And, you know, it kind of tracked because there's a lot of weird stuff that he wrote in that book, and he's a weird looking guy, and it actually seems kind of plausible, even if it's fake. And so yesterday during Tim Walz's speech accepting the nomination as VP, he made a reference to the couch thing. He went up on the microphone and said, J.D. Vance needs to get up off the couch and debate me. And everyone laughed. And Walz goes, see what I did there? It's brutal. It's brutal. And then all day in the past 24 hours, I've seen all the Trump shills, all the pro-Trump people. They're like, this is disgraceful. That is a lie. And I saw some of them. There were like a few different responses. One of the responses, a lot of people were saying, okay.
I saw that is a horrible freeze frame for Nick. Hang on. I need to do Nick better than that. I need to do, that's bad. That's better. That's good enough. That's good enough. That's good enough. Hang on. My husband's just sent me a text. Oh shit. My husband just rescued my AirPods from the laundry. Thank you. My husband was doing laundry, and apparently I left my AirPods in the pocket, and he rescued them, and now he's looking for credit for them. Anyway, what was I just saying? Oh, yeah. So when this thing came out where like Tim Walz made this joke about JD Vance fucking a couch, I saw big conservative accounts doing whole threads fact-checking this. And I was like, yo, seriously? Like, there were whole Twitter threads fact checking about whether or not JD Vance fucked a couch. And it's like, you guys have got to get some perspective. You have got to get some perspective. No one actually cares if JD Vance fucked a couch. This is not the big issue in this campaign. You guys are putting, there were video clips running around. There were excerpts from it was like they were taking this as a serious offense. He should just joke about it. Absolutely.
It's brutal. It's brutal. And then all day in the past 24 hours, I've seen all the Trump shills, all the pro-Trump people. They're like, this is disgraceful. That is a lie. And I saw some of them. There were like a few different responses. One of the responses, a lot of people were saying, okay, so that's how you want to play? Okay. And it's just like it's just like that energy is so off-putting and so abominable and cringe. I saw like Jack Posobiec, and Jack Posobiec has emerged as one of the worst, most try-hard shills.
True.
And I saw his response to Tim Walz saying that was, wow, the Democrats pushed an outright lie about the couch. Okay, game on. Let's see how they like it. And it's like, that was one of them. Another one I saw is people started up their own thing. They're like, oh, well, Tim Walz is going to make up rumors about Vance. We'll make up our own rumor about Walz. So they came up with a rumor that Walz had sex with a horse.
Yep.
And so I saw all of the pro-Trump accounts.
Yep. I had to see all sorts of memes on Twitter about how Tim Walz drank a gallon of horse semen or whatever. I was like, that's just gross. That's just, if that you think this is how you're going to get voters? Rottweiler says false. JD Vance didn't have sex with a couch. Fact, JD Vance had sex with a love seat. Snopes probably. Who cares? Thank you, Rottweiler. Appreciate it.
They're like, oh my gosh, Walz had sex with a horse. Can you believe it? Look at this obvious lie. And I'm watching this unfold all day today and yesterday. I saw Patrick Casey tweeted out, he's like, the Democrats are calling us weird, but they're the ones making up lies about Vance. That's not right. And I want to say time out. Hang on a second. So you're telling me that the right-wing side that said that Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK, the side that said Marco Rubio's a bubble boy who went to popular cruising locations in Miami, Florida, the side that said Hillary Clinton and John Podesta have a child sex dungeon at Comet Ping Pong where they murder, rape children.
Yep.
You're telling me the side that believes in QAnon, the side that says that Joe Biden was secretly dead, the side that said Michelle Obama and Barack Obama were secretly running the White House, that side suddenly has a problem with like shit talk. That side suddenly has a problem with memes.
Yep.
And here's the point. It's, first of all is fair in love and war. Okay. In the meme game, that the whole point of shit talk is you're trying to get under the other side's skin. I know it shouldn't need to be said, but let me explain this to people like Jack Posobiec who are over the age of 35.
Listen, Nick. Not everyone over the age of 35 is dumb about this. I'm just saying.
Mad online, you lose. Okay? It doesn't matter.
Obviously, I'm 29. I'm definitely not over the age of 35.
If it's lies, it doesn't matter if it's exaggerated. It doesn't matter if it's fake or if it's true. If you get mad online, you lose. If it gets under your skin, you lose. That's the point. And that's why Trump was so effective, because back in 2016, Trump and the real shitlords, the real meme war veterans, the real frogs, whatever you want to call it, the real OGs from 2016 understood that. So when the left attacked Trump, it was just yes and. Trump is a fascist. Yeah, and we're going to get all of you guys. Oh, Trump is like Hitler. Yeah, isn't it awesome? And we would be making fun of the other side. We were on the attack. They were on the defensive. We were on offense. They were reacting. They were crying. They were reacting. They were bitching and whining about civility and lying and fairness and bullying and all this stuff. It was their character defects, which were being ruthlessly targeted and honed in on and exploited. And in 2024, it's totally the opposite. Case in point, who would have thought that the Trump side could ever become so fragile and so weak and so reactive? They're getting routed. They're getting bullied by Kamala. They're getting bullied by a black woman. Where Kamala is like, you're weird. And the right is like, hey, what the fuck? We're not weird. We're not weird. Me? Weird? I'm not weird.
You're weird. It's not me,
Kamala
it's you.
is saying, you had sex with a couch, you freak. And the whole right-wing side is like, okay, you're going to make up obvious lies? Okay, that's fine. We'll see how you like it. What the fuck? What the fuck? What happened?
Yep.
What happened to the right wing?
Yep.
I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I will tell you what happened.
No, you.
The Trump movement is dead. It's dead. The real shitlords, the real 4chan people, the channers, all the people from 2016 that brought the meme energy are now gone. They have either quit politics entirely, they are liberal, they are Nazis, there's something else, but they're not on the Trump side. You know who is on the Trump side? GOP shills.
Yep.
You want to know why we're giving this really weak, bitchy, whiny energy on the Trump side? It's because it's all the GOP hacks that were for everybody else in 2016. It's all the plus 35 crowd. They're getting donor money. They have to be careful what they say. They're super cringe. And that's why they're not able to play the same game, because they've alienated everybody. People like the Groypers, it's been made clear that we're not welcome. The GOP and the Trump campaign and that whole scene, they've made it clear we're not welcome. We're too right-wing. We're too edgy. We're never going to infiltrate, whatever. And so instead, you got guys like Benny Johnson and Jack Posobiec. We're the new meme lords. It's guys like James O'Keefe and Jack Posobiec. These are your cool guys.
Yeah. So where can you listen to him? Nick is on Rumble. He's also on Cozy, but go on Rumble, look up Nick J. Fuentes. He does his show at 9 p.m. Well, relatively speaking, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can watch him on Cozy too, cozy.tv. But just go to Rumble. Rumble's probably easier. But I want to just Nick is completely right about this. The meme stuff worked in 2016 because it was authentic, because it was organic, because the people doing it were different people than what we've got now. Trump has got a bunch of old people running his campaign that are not hinged into all this stuff. They get to trends and things like months or years too late. And then they're like, hey, it's like that Steve Buscemi thing. It's like, hey there, fellow kids, let's post a meme. It's like, it used to be edgy in 2016. It's not edgy anymore. It's not fun. It's not interesting. It just comes across as too try hard. That's why all of this is happening.
James O'Keefe doing a Michael Jackson dance, and Jack Posobiec doing White Boy Summer 3 years too late. And Bronze Age Pervert, who's a 40-year-old gay Jew who wasn't even born in America. And that's why this is the energy they're giving. Hey, man. Oh, okay. You're going to say we had sex with the couch? Well, we'll see how you like it.
We'll show you.
The energy is so bad. It's so defensive. It's like smarmy. It's like that chud jack, that soy jack, that angry soy jack face. It's like that kind of energy, like angry eyes, but a very soft face. It's like that. Oh, okay, fine. You're going to make fun of us? We'll see how you like it. We're going to say a thing about you now. It's like it's little girl
is what it is. It's like bitchy girl. It's not masculine, it's not exciting, it's not interesting. It's like this is how how the Trump people are fighting now, how the Trump influencers are fighting now. It's like how girls fight with each other. That's what it feels like to me. Lisa, thank you for the super chat. Thanks, Carlin, for being a voice of reason in all this political BS. I do try, Lisa. Thanks so much for supporting the work I'm doing.
Off-putting and bad. And I don't know if anyone else gets what I mean by that, because I'm talking about a very specific thing.
Yeah.
And I see that energy and I'm like, they're cooked. They're totally fucked. They're on the back foot. And sorry for the language, but it's just true. They are on the back foot all the time, constantly on defense, constantly seething, crying. All the posts that I see from Andrew Torba, Jack Posobiec, Lomez, John Doyle, the biggest like Trump shills, all the posts are like, hey guys, come on, we're winning this thing. We're winning. And it's just this like desperate. It's like that energy when you know it's over. It's that same like when that kind of reassurance comes in, this like panicked reassurance, this desperate, like, this is fine. It's like that energy when you're like, it's so over. Like, you know it's over. I know it's over. You're hanging on. You're trying to get me to hang on, but you don't really, you know it's over too. It's like, this is death spiral energy. We are the Trump campaign. And by the way, I'm not saying this to demoralize anybody. You know, people say you're spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You're demoralizing. That's not my object. My object here is to just call the race as I see it.
Listen, the reason that people are so pissed off at Nick for what he's been saying for a while now is because they know he's right. If Nick wasn't obviously and clearly right about this just being like, it's just bad. Like, you can read energy. People have instincts about these things. You know when something is good and feels good and is exciting to be a part of, and you know when something is bad and tired and over. And it's like, you may like that thing that's bad and tired and over, and you might have really nostalgic memories about that thing, and you might long for the days of those things coming back. But it's not coming back. And at some point you need to face that, and you need to move on, and you need to find the next thing. If Nick wasn't correct, then he wouldn't be getting the heat he is on this. He's getting the heat he is because he's 100% correct, and he's one of the only people that can actually put himself out there and say this, because he doesn't really have skin in this game. He's not working for the campaign. He's not a paid influencer for these people. He does his own thing. Most people don't want him involved. They don't want to be associated with him at all. He has so much freedom to be able to tell the truth, and that's why he can say this, and that's why they're all pissed off at him, because they know he's right and they can't say it.
And I'm actually doing a service. If you are involved in the Trump campaign, don't get mad at me for saying it. Don't get mad at me for saying what everybody's thinking. You need to fix it. I'm doing a service. No one will say it. Everyone is afraid of being boxed out of the next administration. They're all afraid of being exiled from Mar-a-Lago and the court of Trump. I'm already on the outs. I'm doing you a favor. If you want Trump to win, you need to be honest with yourself that it's not going well. The numbers show that. The enthusiasm gap is real. Kamala's making good decisions. They say, well, she's running from interviews. She should. She's terrible in interviews. So what? That's politics. She's going to get away with it because the media is not fair. I know, shocking. Trump supporters are surprised. They're like, the media is not treating us fairly. Hello, this is the Trump movement. Did you just get here yesterday? So my object is not to demoralize. It's to say, look, one, this is how it is. We have a problem, and people need to know. This is the last thing I'm going to say. Then we're going to move on into our news. The last thing I'm going to say is this. It looks like Trump is headed towards a defeat in November. I'm just being honest. And I'll tell you why. The numbers are trending in the wrong direction. There's no sign that the Trump campaign is nimble and adaptable enough to fix the problems. The Trump campaign in 2016 was constantly changing leadership. I think that was a good thing. You know, they had Lewandowski, they had Manafort, they had Bannon, they had Conway. They were constantly mixing it up. And so they were very fast and very adaptable and very flexible. Trump was on Twitter. He had his ear to the ground. He had his finger on the pulse. Now Trump is cloistered away on Truth Social. He's insulated and isolated inside Mar-a-Lago. There is no change up going on the team. It's the same people from for years, and they're doing a terrible job. And there's nobody on the campaign that's saying, hey, we have a problem here. So I think the numbers, the trajectory is not good. Kamala is going to own August because of the convention and the VP bump and everything. Campaign is...
And by the way, in the press conference that Trump did today, Trump flat out said he was going to let Kamala own August. He flat out said it. Someone asked him, we didn't get to this part in the press conference, someone asked Trump, why aren't you campaigning, Trump? And Trump was like, well, I'm way ahead, and, you know, the DNC is coming up, and I'm just going to let them have it, and all this stuff. He flat out said he was going to let Kamala Harris own this month. That is not taking this seriously. I'm sorry. If Trump really believes that there is no competition from Kamala Harris, that he's just so far ahead, that no one can touch him, that he can just kick back in Mar-a-Lago and play golf, and maybe J.D. Vance gives an interview here or there, but he's not really doing anything either, that is not a serious campaign. He is running for president of the United States. Even if he did think he was winning by that much, Trump should know that they're going to fucking cheat again. And so even if Trump thinks that he's winning the vote and if it's a free and fair election, like he said in the press conference, he's absolutely going to win. Guess what? Trump of all people should know that they're going to fucking cheat again just in case. I don't know why people are confused about this. So wouldn't he want to pad his lead as much as possible? Wouldn't he want to make sure he's out there there's less than 3 months until the election. Why isn't Trump hitting the pavement every fucking day to make sure he gets elected? To be able to say, I did everything I could. Why are his campaign advisors allowing him to hide in Mar-a-Lago and just like play golf and hang out and do like these these kick streams or whatever? Kamala Harris is out there doing multiple events a day. Tim Walz is doing multiple events a day. They're flying all over. They've got all these endorsements. They're getting all these celebrities, and you might not like that they're getting celebrities, but the fact of the matter is the celebrities are going to get them the younger vote. They own the youth vote. Turning Point USA hasn't shown up for the youth vote at all. And Trump is just sitting back going, yep, nothing to see here, guys. I don't even know why we're talking about this. We're not worried at all. Kamala Harris has got all the energy because she's the one out there making all the energy. She's the one with the momentum because she's the one that's actually doing something. Well, you're comparing Donald Trump with the tortoise and the hare? No, bro. No. 99 out of 100 races, the hare wins. Energy begets energy. Excitement begets excitement. Sitting around at Mar-a-Lago and playing golf creates apathy.
Is slow and ineffective, and there's going to be cheating. There's going to be cheating, just like there was in 2020. There's going to be cheating this time. Why wouldn't there be? Don't you believe the election was stolen? Don't you? It was stolen in Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, Phoenix, Philadelphia, and they're going to do it again. They brought 10 million illegals in the last 4 years. You think they're not going to vote? Illegals can't vote. Are you sure? 10 million people? That's the size of the city of Chicago. The Chicago metro area is 10 million people. You think that many people come in and they're getting bussed all over the country? Not one of them's going to vote? They're going to cheat. They're going to use the month-long early voting, in-person absentee ballot system. They're going to get the nursing home.
And by the way, Scott Pressler is only focused on Pennsylvania. Everyone knows that, right? Scott Pressler was talking about like doing this massive ballot harvesting thing. Scott Pressler is literally focused on one state, and that one state is Pennsylvania. And I'm not saying Pennsylvania is not important, and I'm not saying Scott Pressler isn't doing like actually out there trying to do something and make something happen. But there are a whole bunch of other states in play where the Democrats are absolutely going to be cheating, and they're absolutely going to be ballot harvesting, and they're absolutely going to be doing every single thing that they did in 2020, and the GOP has done nothing to stop them. They've done nothing to fix the problems that created the issue in the first place in 2020. And now we're just heading like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. Nothing to see here.
Homes, they're going to get the apartment complexes, the Section 8. They're going to get the homeless. They're going to get the illegals. They're going to get the dead people. They're going to rig it again. And the Trump campaign has no integrity team. They have no election integrity task force.
See?
So you put all this together. The trajectory's bad. The campaign is incompetent, and they're not able to adapt. And then there's going to be massive cheating. I think it's not looking good. It's like a coin flip, and it shouldn't be. I don't feel confident about a coin flip with cheating. And everybody needs to know that when Trump loses, it's not because Trump was too Trump. It's not because Trump was too right-wing. It's not because he talked about the stolen election. If or when Trump loses in 2024, there will be nobody to blame other than Trump, Chris LaCivita, Susie Wiles, and this Republican establishment that has taken over the Trump campaign. Because if he loses, and I'm already mentally preparing for that, and you need to as well.
Yep.
If Trump loses, they are going to say, oh, the problem was they chose Vance, and Vance was too far right. So we need to go and appeal to minorities and women again.
Yep.
That's not why. The reason, if he loses, is because they ran away from the populist, nativist, nationalist message that Trump ran on in 2016. And, you know, the Democrat strategists are saying it. They're saying Trump is no longer a change candidate. James Carville said that today. It was in The Hill. He said Trump is not a change candidate. That's true. He's not running as a change candidate. He's promising tax cuts. He's promising to rein in inflation. That's not a change candidate. And that's what you need to be. In 2016, Trump said, we're going to turn everything upside down. Now he's like, we're going to cut taxes on tips. We're going to cut taxes on corporations. We're going to cut taxes on Social Security. We're going to bring down gas prices. We're going to bring down grocery prices. Yeah, that's not a change candidate. So if or when he loses, you have nobody to blame other than these Republican consultants, this GOP establishment that has won the revolution inside the Trump campaign and conquered the movement from within. And that's why for people that say, Nick, you're too critical of Trump. Nick, you know, why are you hating on Trump? This is why. I am plan B. If Trump loses, they're going to blame him. They are going to put him on a pyre and sacrifice him. Mark my words. If Trump loses, all these blood-sucking leeches that have come on board, they're going to throw him under the bus so fast, it's going to make your head spin. And they're going to say, it's his fault. He's a terrible candidate. He lost in 20. He's the reason there was no red wave in 22. And he fucked it up in 24. Mark my words. If he loses, that's what they'll say. All these people that have glommed on in the glaze fest at the RNC, they will not let him challenge it, and they will throw him under the bus so fast you will not believe it. And they're going to say, we need to get back to the old GOP. They're going to say Trump tried, but it was too little too late. We need to get back to the old school GOP. We need Nikki Haley. We need Ron DeSantis. We need that kind of thing. And I'm the plan.
I actually think that if Trump loses, it's an excellent opportunity to burn down the conservative establishment and build. That's a horrible freeze frame. I'm doing Nick dirty. Hang on. That's better. That's better. A little slightly better. I actually think now I don't think Nick is wrong in what he's saying in that if Trump loses, like the establishment neocons are going to come in and be like, okay, that was fun, but now we need to go back to our people over here. I don't think that's wrong, but I also think if Trump does lose, maybe a consolation prize is that I do think it creates an opportunity to absolutely burn down the conservative establishment and replace it with something new, because the loss of Trump is going to be a void. Right? Anytime you lose something, because Trump can't run again after this, can be 84 years old the next time. Like this is his last chance. And so if he loses, Trump is now taken out of the ball game and it creates a void. Whoever fills that void is going to win. And I think that things would get really bad under Kamala Harris. And I think when things get really bad, people look for different solutions. And I think that it would be an opportunity for people like Nick Fuentes and the Groypers to come in and to start to fill that void maybe sooner than they had anticipated. Because Nick has this whole long-term strategy about getting people into institutions and into conservative like institutions to like take them over from the inside, which isn't wrong. But sometimes, like, if you have an opportunity to fill the void, are you going to let the neocons do it, or are you going to go for it yourself?
But it was too little too late. We need to get back to the old school GOP. We need Nikki Haley. We need Ron DeSantis. We need that kind of thing. And I'm the plan B. And yeah, I'm taking a lot of hits. A lot of people don't like what I'm saying. I don't care. But I'm putting myself out there vocally and loudly and unignorably and visibly and saying Trump is no longer Trump. It's not Trumpism. This isn't the Trump revolution. This isn't a change candidate. This isn't nationalism. It's not populism. This is GOP slop, and it's why it's not working. And when it loses, everyone needs to know that's exactly why.
All right. That's also hang on. There we go. That's better. Okay. Do I think the LP would ever be able to rise up in the wake of the GOP destruction? No. And it breaks my heart to say that. It really does, because in my heart of hearts, I am a libertarian. In my heart of hearts, I am an anarcho-capitalist. I know I'm doing this fascist thing because I think that fascism is the only way to actually solve the problem. But the reason I think that fascism is the only way to solve the problem and getting a fascist dictator installed is the only thing that's actually going to save us is because of the fecklessness of my own political party. The Libertarian Party sucks. The leadership of the Libertarian Party sucks. The Mises Caucus that was supposed to fix the Libertarian Party has shit the bed on every single goddamn level. There is so much infighting within libertarian politics. If you have never been involved in the infighting in libertarian politics, let me tell you what it's like, because I was heavily involved in it for like 2.5 years. It's like waking up every day and beating your head against the wall all day long. That's what it's like. And so I don't think the Libertarian Party is ever going to be able to get out of its own way, because if they actually just started working together and focusing on who the real enemy is, there's a lot of smart people involved and they're very autistic and they can come up with creative ideas and they know their stuff and they're good at analysis. But the fact of the matter is they're much more interested in fighting with each other all the time over everything and throwing each other under the bus and smearing each other and defaming each other and doing all of this underhanded bullshit. It's never going to work. And I really wish I was wrong about that. I wish things would change. I wish they would get their shit together. But I just don't see it happening. And that's really sad. Anyway, that was basically the end of what Nick was saying, and I wanted people to see that. Next thing I want to watch is I want to listen to a little bit of this Twitter space that happened, because this Twitter space today took place right after that Trump press conference. And what I want to do is I want you guys to hear the talking points from both sides, because as I was listening to this Twitter space, and again, I was like technically a speaker in it, but I didn't get a chance to talk because the sound got all fucked up and I couldn't. Anyway, there's a lot of reasons for it, but I did listen to a bunch of it. And all I was hearing in this Twitter space was conservative narrative, leftist narrative, conservative narrative, leftist narrative. And it's like, I think it's important that we hear the talking points and the perspective of both sides. And then there's Chief Trumpster, the most handsome of all Groyper. I have actually met him in real life. He is really incredibly handsome and actually a really nice guy. And then there's Chief Trumpster, who was our voice of reason, the shining star of the Twitter space, who talks sense into everyone. And so we're going to start with Chief Trumpster's thoughts. I'm going to let this play a little bit. I'm going to go and use the bathroom real quick, so I'll let this play while I'm gone. But you guys can put notes in the chat. Let me know what you think.
Sarah, and to the space. Sarah, it's always a pleasure to work with you, and I'm excited to share another stage with you. And also, welcome to all of our regulars up here on the panel. I know it's going to be a great discussion. So that's the question. The question is, what do you think of the press conference, and what do you think of the timing? Chief, I'm going to go to you first. Take it away.
Well, I got to be honest about what's going on here. I mean, I think that the Trump campaign has not really done its job in terms of outshining the Kamala campaign in a couple areas, and that's why we're seeing these polls tighten up for. The whole issue I've been having is the Trump campaign's style of campaigning, and what I'm hearing is a lack of ground people and election integrity people. I'm just not hearing any of this on the ground in a couple of swing states that I've been reaching out to for people I know. I think even Scott Presser was talking about how even his own organization in Pennsylvania has not had any sort of funds from the RNC, and there hasn't been much contact.
I can't hear the speaker.
There hasn't been much contact there. The issue I have is the Trump campaign is basically sleepwalking into a defeat with Kamala, and it's not because Kamala is better or whatever. It's because the Trump campaign has operational failures and problems, and we can say the polls are fake and we can say all of this, but in reality, we basically are setting ourselves up for failure if we don't take it seriously and do anything. I just don't feel like there's this energy we had in 2016. Maybe it never can be that energy in 2016. Maybe it can't be that drive and that feeling we had. But with that being said, I just don't think what we're doing right now is enough. And that's kind of why you have like a media blitz campaign with the Kamala camp and really trying to go and push out the vote in key areas. And I just don't think the Trump strategy is going to work right now. And he has to really change something up, course correct something, because I'm telling you guys, we're going to have a rough November if the current trajectory of how the polls are going stays the same way. I'm Republican, I'm conservative, but I can at least understand and acknowledge that the Republicans need to step their game up. And I think that by us saying that things are okay and whatever, we need to be taking this thing very seriously. This is a very consequential election, and I just don't know how the operations side of the campaign is handling key swing states and doing their ad campaigns and media blitz or anything like that. I just don't see the energy right now. I think it can be there, but it needs very serious changes in the campaign.
Hey, Dragon Balls, to get to your goal already, damn it. Thank you, Dragon Balls. I appreciate you, but you guys can still send me money if you want. But we did hit the goal for today. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah, Chief, those are great. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, Chief. So there was something else that jumped out at me, and Chief, you're right. The Trump campaign is sort of needing to step it up, right? They need to compete with the energy that the Democrats now have with Kamala Harris. But one thing that Trump mentioned, he spoke about Elon. And everybody knows that this Monday, Donald Trump will be on X with Elon. He said that Elon loves the country and that Elon says the country is in danger. And he spoke about how much he likes Elon, but Trump has been very critical of electric vehicles, which we all know. Tesla is Elon's project. He loves Tesla. He loves electric vehicles. Do you think,
this was a dumb
and
question
I'll
from
send
Sarah.
this over to you, TJ Roberts. Do you think that Trump is lying or not being as genuine about his feelings towards Elon just to possibly get some more of those funds into his campaign?
I don't. Oh, I thought that.
This is for TJ.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why he would have much of an incentive to lie on that, because Elon's already said that he's all in for President Trump since the attempted assassination. In terms of getting funds, I don't think Elon's really going to care if you just say that, oh, I like him, he cares about the country, right? If I'm someone that, if my focus in terms of finance I'm more focused on what policies you're going to adopt. I don't care if you speak well of me. And realistically speaking, Trump was going to enact policies anyway that are going to be beneficial to making sure that we actually have a free market where the average family can afford to put food on their table, where the average family can afford to save, where the average family can afford to invest, where frankly businesses, whether you love electric cars, hate electric cars, to where you can actually make that decision for yourself, right? I mean, one of the issues that we currently have is the Biden administration is focused on a mandate for electric vehicles, and what that's going to lead to is it's going to lead to resentment of the vehicles. It's going to lead to development that is rushed, and as a result you're going to have quality control issues. You're going to wind up with more issues than you would have otherwise, whereas if we just let the market sort it out itself, you actually wind up with a quality product that people want to buy, that you don't have to force people to purchase. So I don't really see this as like as just kissing up to Elon. I don't see the gain in it. I don't see the benefit in it. I mean, frankly, I think that they're just having that conversation. They're having that interview so that way, like, it's just all out there. I mean, Elon's already said he's supporting them.
I will say. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Chief Trumpster, and then I want to go to Chris Mowry to get a different perspective. But go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, so yeah, I think the issue that Trump had was about the mandates of electric vehicles. I think that the technology itself, he's not exactly opposed to. He doesn't want a market completely controlled or have regulations that slant it one way. I think that EVs have its place, but at the same time, they shouldn't be forced upon the consumers. So I think that's what Trump's against. But regardless, I think that Trump and Elon share a lot of things in common. I think that the EV issue, I don't think it's as big as people make it to be. I don't think Elon was hoping for I don't think he was expecting to have an EV mandate for people. I don't think he was expecting that or thought would happen, but I think Trump is not going to go for that if he was considering that whole angle. That's my opinion, though.
Hey, before we go to Chris real quick, Sarah, I wanted to remind everybody, if you have an opinion on what you think about the press conference, or if you have an opinion if you think Trump's pushing EVs or not, drop it in the comments below. That purple pill, we read your comments and we try to incorporate them in the show.
Wisdom
Take it away,
beyond his years, though. Come on.
Thank you. Notorious. I'm curious, what were your thoughts? Did you think that this speech is more to make the Democrats have to come forward, make Kamala have to come forward and do press conferences, since she is not doing those? What do you think, Notorious?
So I think that I didn't catch all of Trump's press conference, but the stuff that I did hear was kind of the greatest hits of the same old gripes and the same old complaints. And I think that I'm convinced that the tactic of Kamala Harris not doing press conferences was intentional. Because what that's done over the last 2 weeks is we've seen Trump and MAGAs just flailing wildly and in really kind of making asses of themselves in this whole thing. And I think that it was smart on the part of the Kamala campaign.
Flailing. What do you mean that they're flailing? I would think that there are many people on the panel on the right that would say that Donald Trump's camp is not flailing. In fact, and they are forcing the Democrats to step up their game.
If you look at what's happened, like especially with attacking Tim Walz on his service record and things like that, they've really kind of exposed themselves. And there's a lot of people that, they're receiving a ton of blowback from those tactics. It was almost like because Kamala didn't get out there and start putting policies out that they could attack, they started doing more ad hominem attacks. And it's really blown up in their face, especially the Tim Walz stuff. So I think it's been intentional. Like really, in looking back at this, even just with Biden doing that debate long before he was the official candidate for president, things like that, I think this was all intentional and it was orchestrated. And it's just another instance of Democrats just outmaneuvering Trump and the MAGAs and really kind of exposing him. It's shown that Trump is almost incapable of pivoting. I don't know if you guys remember, but like the week after the Kamala Harris campaign was announced, he was like still lapsing into like he was campaigning against Biden in his speeches and things like that. It was almost like he hadn't gotten the memo. So I think that
That's true.
The tactic
Actually,
of not doing.
You guys notice he did that in the press conference earlier too. He was talking about how I was originally running against Biden, and then I got this other person, but I was originally running against Biden. He was still like, it's like, yeah, okay, Trump, we all know the story, we all know the arc of things, we all know what happened, but we don't actually need to hear about Biden anymore because Biden is no longer the candidate that you're actually running against.
Any press conferences on on policy and things like that has been intentional because it's allowed the MAGAs to kind of expose themselves. And really, like, people are just exhausted with the vitriol and the constant barrage of America is a shithole that's failing miserably, that crime ridden. I mean, really, crime is down 47% since 1992, violent crime. So all of this stuff.
Notorious, have you ever seen the movie Gaslight? Yeah, you have, man. You were with me when you saw it. You were with me when we saw it. Come on now.
And now we're going to get the conservative talking point coming in. And this is the stuff to me that just grates on me. It's like, I don't even know why we're having this conversation. They're all paid. They're just there for a free concert. Kamala, no one even likes her. No one voted for her in the first place. Trump is great. Anyone who tells us otherwise is just trying to gaslight us.
This is a masterclass in gaslighting, man. Like, I mean, so for one, we're talking about how, oh, it's a brilliant move not to do a press conference. I mean, I guess it is because, I mean, Cackles can't answer the most basic question. She will? I mean, when? I mean, I guess we have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. I guess we have to elect the president to find out what they're actually going to do. And, she's the vice president. I'd love to see her actually, take control because, frankly, let's face it, Joe Biden's not the one actually running the show. He's not the one in charge of the country. I mean, so you're talking about that, how that's a brilliant move. Tim Walz is actually deceiving voters on his service record. And what just happened? CNN, when we're talking about flailing, let's talk about how CNN just attacked J.D. Vance's actual service record that he did not lie about. We're talking about how MAGA is flailing, but once again, we have this media astroturfing where we had the most unpopular vice president in American history now somehow being the savior of the left.
There it is.
Come on, man. Like, it's okay to admit that there are problems. Like, there are problems in my camp. I could talk about things that were said today that I disagree with, but dude, like, you're trying to take a clear falter. I mean, man, I'm a state rep candidate, and I have done more press conferences in the past 18 days than Kamala Harris has because I did because I've done one interview.
Again, it's the smartest thing in the world for Kamala Harris to not actually talk to the press. She doesn't have to. She has all the momentum. All she needs to do is talk to the voters. All she needs to do, if Kamala Harris doesn't talk to the press, you know what the press is going to do? They're going to run footage of the events that she's doing and the speeches she's giving. So she's talking to the voters through the press with her events because she's not giving them anything else to use. This is just smart.
That's pathetic.
About that is Democrats don't care at this point, and that's I think the point that you're missing is that so many people.
What you're missing though is the Democrats. They're going to vote for Kamala Harris no matter what. The question that you guys should be looking at is, buddy? If your entire focus is just getting Democrats to vote for Kamala Harris, you are going to lose because there's a massive persuasion effort that needs to be done with undecided voters. Because last month Kamala Harris was not running for president, and now she is.
Right.
So now that game has entirely been reset, and Trump's team.
And I'm going to say this, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm not. I think that if there were still undecided voters, if they hadn't decided to vote for Trump yet, what is the actual likelihood that they're gonna that they're gonna decide to vote for Trump now? I mean, honestly, I can see if there were undecided voters and they were just like, and they weren't like on board with Trump already, like, what would, like, those are voters that were waiting to find out what was going to go on with the Democrats. And so then it's like, okay, do I love Trump enough that it overshadows a young, energetic Black woman candidate who's out there looking very presidential, very leadership oriented, And if that's the case, then why aren't they committed to voting for Trump already? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like this whole idea of like winning over these undecided voters. It kind of, to me, seems like they're Kamala's to lose. Like they're just working their way up to convincing themselves to vote for her. And so if she just played it safe and just doesn't make any major fuck ups and has a decent convention, she's going to win over those undecided voters because they're kind of hers to lose at this point.
I mean, look, you were talking about there are discrepancies and things that need to be made up, but there are outside groups going to independents and going to low propensity Republican voters and actually having those conversations. And I mean, here's the thing. Like, I mean, if I want Donald Trump to win, I would urge Kamala Harris to take the advice that you are giving on this space right now.
I think you underestimate and you discount like I was saying, the exhaustion of the American people on the brand of campaign that Trump has been running. Like I said, just constantly down. It's all doom and gloom. It's all how things are, blowing apart and failing miserably when that isn't reality.
I think that Americans are exhausted with the fact that if you are under the age of 40, home ownership is a pipe dream. I think Americans are exhausted with paying more at the grocery store than they ever have. I think that Americans are exhausted with their day-to-day utilities and rent being more than they are earning, where we have entire.
And do you know who's speaking to all those issues? Kamala Harris, not Donald Trump.
Generations that are going into debt by the day just to make ends meet. I think that's what they're
Trump
actually
doesn't
sick
offer
of.
any solutions to that as well. And let me finish my point. When you look at what the Harris campaign has done, the one thing that they're talking about over and over and over again is joy and happiness and putting fun back into the country and things like that. And I think, like I've said, you guys are underestimating the power of that. And underestimating the power of that in relation to the doom and gloom that Trump has been constantly pumping out for the last 7-8 years. People are worn out by that. And this, let's be honest, this election has come down to a cult of personality. That's it. It's not a policy-focused campaign. People see Trump as an existential threat to America. That's just the reality, whether you guys want to accept that or not.
Hey, Notorious, let me ask, what policies then? Because I agree with you. I feel like the campaigns have become cults of personality. It's Kamala's running on a campaign of you heard her respond to the Palestine protester with, if you keep saying that, then Trump's going to win. So her whole campaign is basically, if you don't want Trump, you have to vote for me. But she's still the vice president, and she can't run against the policies of the administration that she's a part of, while at the same time, continue to have a campaign that's not just about personality. So I want to ask you, Notorious, what policies can she run on? How does she thread the needle of running against herself and the record that obviously she's trying to run from?
Broad foreign policy. It's going to come down to abortion. It's going to come down to the same old shit that we've been hearing for 20, 30, 40 years. And that's, people expect that. And all they're looking at right now is the doom and gloom of the MAGA side and the apparent return to normalcy. And I know a lot of people are going to raise hell about me saying that, but a return to normalcy and a return to at least people being enthusiastic and joyful about moving forward with the country. And I think, like I've said, I think that the MAGA side is really underestimating the power of that.
I would actually say that the MAGA side is quite joyful, but they're willing to acknowledge that there are serious problems with our nation.
That's not the tone of the campaign, and you can't deny it.
Yeah, and the reason I disagree, man. The people that I see working on that campaign are some of the most joyful warriors that I have ever interacted with. They see that there is a problem and they are enthusiastic to get down and fix it. And that's not but that's the thing. No, that's not rhetoric. The rhetoric is
the rhetoric that Trump uses. That yes, there may be MAGAs that are joyful about him exacting revenge on his opponents and everything else, but the vast majority of Americans, that stuff's scary.
We've been living under a regime of revenge for the past 4 years, but
give me a break. Donald Trump has a 30, 40-year history of like unsophisticated crime and corruption. Don't talk this.
I'm not even talking about Donald Trump. We have literally implemented policies with the direct intention of punishing middle America who supports President Donald Trump with
like what?
sky-high inflation and intentionally open border.
Come on, man. That was a global inflation crisis. You know that.
Yes, and we could
Certainly, you
have
must know that.
easily staved it off with honest money.
Yes, and you know what?
We
The
are the
U.S. is
reserve
like the
currency of the
G7 and recovering
planet.
from that inflation. That's simply the reality. We become the beacon in this crisis. So, whatever.
But I mean, I wish that Americans were in as good a shape as you're trying to paint them to be. We're not. I can just say that I was in better shape. I felt I was in better shape as a college student than I am as an attorney right now in
During
terms of
COVID?
finance because no, I graduated college in 2019 actually.
Okay.
I was thinking 2017 through 2019. But I would actually say if we forget 2020 and 2021, pre-COVID, post-COVID, I guarantee you the average American would say they were better off pre-COVID. I mean, and here's the thing: we
And
can
what
only
did
blame
Trump do
COVID.
to cause that? If you look at the standard lines of the economy, the GDP, everything else, Trump just followed the same growth curve that Obama started. That's simply reality. Look at the data.
Economics goes
Until he
far
started this
beyond.
boneheaded trade war with China, which pile drove the U.S. economy.
You can sit
gentlemen,
here. I want to bring. I want to. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
I want to jump to Chris here because Chris, now they're having a pretty good debate. I'll let you jump in on it. Now, Donald Trump, as Notorious said, was just giving the same speech, the same broken record that he thinks that he's heard 1,000 times over. Was it the same speech over and over? Do you think that it moves the needle a little bit for independents to go over to the Republicans? What do you think? Weigh in on this conversation, please, sir.
Yeah, I think that Notorious said one thing that I really agree with. That would be like the defining difference right now is like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz with a lot of energy and a lot of hope, and it's become almost defining, whether you like it or not, that the Trump campaign runs on fear, and I think that Americans are on all sides of the aisle have been really tired by the incessant negativity that is politics these days. And I think that what the clear difference in watching Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and the energy around them and in talking about like helping people as opposed to the kind of the same record of Donald Trump of they hate you, they're evil people, they want to hurt you, they want to hurt your kids. Even somebody up here, I think it was TJ who it's like, oh, I see a lot of people hopeful warriors who want to fix the war that's been waged against middle America. Like that's I don't, whether you like it or not, when Americans hear that, they are like, oh my God, that is so just unbelievably gross. Can we talk about moving forward and the plans that are going to be that we're going to have moving forward? And I think like you guys have said, there's been a lot of energy. I think that the second thing I'd say lastly would be someone mentioned the Trump campaign, whether you like it or not, has to step it up. And I guess Scott Pressler, someone was mentioned that it's things are struggling on the ground. Yeah, people like me have been screaming about this for months. You walk straight into your own demise. Before Laura Trump was the RNC chair, you had 60 field offices well before a year before the election ready to go up, and then Donald Trump and his whole little squad got into the RNC, and none of those field offices opened. And Donald Trump started spending a bunch of money on legal fees. His PAC spent a bunch of money on legal fees, and they didn't open any field offices. And it's like, yeah, we a lot of Democrats were like, a year ago, we're like, holy shit, they're going to get crushed if they have no field offices. And everyone said, well, he's Donald Trump, he's God, so it doesn't matter. And now it matters. So that's what I'd say.
Well, what happened though? So I mean, to be fair, Chris, you replaced the corpse. It like really just the person that didn't really have much energy at all. What's so new? So no matter what, the energy will be higher. So that's point one. Point two, you talked about the
I think Chief Trumpster got that from me. The reason I say I think Chief Trumpster got that from me that she replaced a corpse is because he reposted my video where I said that Kamala Harris replaced a corpse. Yay! Influencing Chief Trumpster.
About about the doom and gloom. Most Americans aren't doing good right now, and that's why the polls say so. The majority of Americans aren't doing good with the inflation, with the economy, and that's why the majority of them are saying that the economy is the number one factor for this election. And that's what the majority of the people in the polls are saying, that Biden's economy is not working for them.
Yeah, I think,
Right,
but I think that those are two different issues. Like, I think that Kamala Harris has said multiple times in multiple speeches, yes, the economy is not working for everyone. Yes, inflation is too high. The difference is how you approach the messaging to fix that. Donald Trump approaches it by saying, no, you don't understand. All of the Democrats are evil and disgusting, and they want to destroy your world. Tim Walz is going to turn middle America into a third world country. That's fear. Whereas Kamala Harris can say, the economy doesn't work for everyone, but this is what we've achieved so far, and this is how I'm going to achieve more to make sure that you have the American dream. Those are two defining strategies to go about it. And if you run on fear for the next 90 days, it's not going to go well.
So
I don't think Donald Trump is running on fear. He actually is giving clear answers on what he is saying he wants. I mean, for one.
Almost all of Trump's press conference today was talking about how if we elect Kamala, it will lead to a Great Depression. So that's what running on fear means.
We're talking about cutting the tax on Social Security, something we should have never done in the first place. You should have never, Social Security recipients should not be getting double taxed. They pay into Social Security and then they're getting it back. They should get the tax on that. They should be taxed on that. That's one issue. Then there's further the pledge to cut tax on tips to make sure that our working Americans, particularly in the restaurant industry, they're not paying extra taxes. Further, we have promises of actually securing the border, finishing the wall, ending the endless wars, bringing our national security home so that way we are focused on defending our own border over the borders of others. These are all very simple solutions that we have campaigned on. So this notion that one's running on fear, the other's running on hope, I think that's fundamentally false. If anything, when we talk about how the rhetoric thrown against Republicans of, oh, well, they're a threat to democracy, they're a threat to your way of life. That's the fear campaign. I would actually say that the campaign
follow through with this stuff.
Yeah, because you have to, because Donald Trump cannot cut taxes on his own.
Can I ask a question?
Well,
of course.
Just a quick moment, Chris, and we'll go back to that. Since we have Ed Krasenstein on stage, Ed, I read a tweet, and I'm going to read it for our audience that you posted that I think is going to get you a lot of angry replies. You said this press conference might be the end of Trump. It's so sad that his family lets him go on like this. His cognition appears to be deteriorating, and he has literally asked at least 4 people to.
All right, that's not exactly true. Ed Krasenstein is a moron.
Repeat what they said. So sad. Now, the Republicans have been saying this about Biden for 4 years, and now you're saying it about Trump.
That's why I made the post.
That was great.
Are you joking, or do you really believe that he is deteriorating?
Well, obviously, I was being sarcastic, but he is deteriorating. I mean, he's obviously not where he was 4 years ago or 8 years ago.
Well, neither are you, neither am I. People, as we get older, we do slow down a little bit. I don't think that he is as cognitively declined as maybe Biden. Would you agree?
I would agree. He's not as cognitively declined as Biden, but he also is 4 years younger than Biden, and he's going to be in office, and he'll be in office when he's Biden's age, and he has Alzheimer's disease that runs in his family. So, I mean, it's definitely a concern, I think, at his age, at 78 years old. But I want to go back to, we talk about inflation. Has Trump said a single thing he's going to do to fix inflation or to prevent inflation from happening? Because
he actually hasn't.
He's talking about giving tax breaks. Well, I guess they're not really tax breaks, but he's going to remove taxes from servers. He's going to remove taxes from Social Security. So that means that's less money that the government's going to have. So that's going to force us more into debt. How's he going to make up for that money that he's removing from the government's budget?
Hopefully by slashing wasteful spending, man.
Yeah, but
and another
slash spending. I mean, he doesn't talk about that. He hasn't ever talked about what he's going to cut. What did he do when he was president? What is he going to cut in addition to that? He doesn't.
Well, the Department of Education.
I'll tell you what he said he'll do. I'll tell you what he said he'll cut.
Then my final point is he keeps lying about Roe v. Wade. No, everybody didn't want Roe terminated. No, Democrats and independents didn't want it terminated. That's a blatant lie that he keeps repeating, and it's the definition of gaslighting. He's literally gaslighting people into believing that they wanted something that they didn't want. It's absurd.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that the foundational logic behind Roe
No,
versus
but
Wade was
Democrats
incorrect.
didn't want it. You can poll you can poll the country, and the majority of the country didn't want it.
I mean, you know,
True.
maybe the majority of the country didn't want it. The
polls
Constitution
always-
doesn't change. The
those
Constitution
polls-
doesn't change according to public opinion, man.
So let me ask you: do you think at least 50% of people wanted Roe v. Wade terminated? Honestly,
When you
Roe v.
ask
Wade
when
wasn't
you
even the
ask
law.
them whether or
It was-
not
oh
the
my
federal government,
no, I'm asking you a direct question. Do you think
yes,
50%?
the
Like Trump
but
said,
you're asking a direct
Trump
question.
said 100%. He said everybody,
You're
including
asking
Democrats.
you're
Do
asking
you
a
believe
direct
that? Honestly?
you're asking a direct question that has a much more complex answer than I can put in a 30-second
No, it's
soundbite
really a
for
simple answer.
Democrat donors. No, it's not. No, it's not, man.
Guys, you're being ridiculous.
No, I'm not. Ed, let's be honest. If you ask the average
I'm
American,
asking you,
should
yes
the
or no?
federal
Do you think
government
everybody wanted it terminated?
Ed, should
I
the
know I
federal
didn't.
should the federal judiciary have control over our nation's abortion policy, or should it be more decentralized?
I think Roe v. Wade shouldn't have been terminated. That's my answer.
Okay, so you think
that
you think that 9 people in robes should have control over the policy that affects 400 million people? Cool. I disagree with that.
I think Roe was not a law, and it was a Supreme Court decision. And I think if you polled the country, at least 60%, probably more, would say they wanted it to remain intact.
Yep.
That is what I'm saying.
And then if you tell them what it is, then
at least 60% will say they don't like late-term abortions. So it all depends on how you frame the question. You can say it as far as overturning Roe, which wasn't actually the law.
Just a moment, gentlemen, just a moment, because we have this particular clip that you guys are debating over, and I want to play it to see exactly what Donald Trump said. So we're going to go ahead and play it. Go ahead.
Strategy for your campaign before Harris became the nominee was appealing to Black voters. That's something you were really going after. In polls, you really see Harris gaining ground with that group, and I'm wondering how you are going to go after Black voters now that she's the nominee and really winning them over.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Perhaps, I was doing very well with Black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with Black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with Black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic. Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males.
No, this was earlier today.
A big part of the strategy.
That was not exactly the clip that we wanted to play. I wanted the
that was not
abortion
the
clip.
clip.
But that clip as well, he's talking about that he does very well with white voters. He does very well with Black voters, except for Black women. Now, if you wanted to pivot a little bit here, Ed.
But I mean, like, there were polls done before Roe was overturned. There were national polls, and the vast majority, or I think it was somewhere around 60%, said I think it was more than that actually, so that they did not want Roe overturned. And so it's obviously a blatant lie. He's gaslighting people into believing that something happened that they didn't want to happen.
Ed, here's your problem. Every poll that does that, yes, if you just say Roe v. Wade, people instinctively like, oh no, we should keep it. But then you actually explain the legal reasoning and ask if they support that, it pretty much flips on its head.
No,
that's
it
what
doesn't.
I mean. Yes, it absolutely did. The pre-reversal polling.
So you're saying everybody thinks that if you explain it to them,
I don't think everybody thinks one single thing. No, but I'd say that if you actually explain it, it pretty much flips to where
Trump was lying. Right?
I'm not admitting that he's lying. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know whether it's intentional. Now, I will say that I've seen some lies that are so egregious.
So you're admitting he's stupid.
Buddy, I mean, if you are giving a great masterclass and twisting another person's words, I like how you interact. But I never said that he's stupid. You can be incorrect and be stupid. Everyone makes errors, but I mean, if we can turn it into a personal insult match right now, I mean, I'd be more than happy to go down that approach.
Guys,
I don't think that's how it should be done.
What do you think? Why do you think?
Hold on. Hey guys, I want to 1 second. I want to ask a quick question. So I want to take it back a little bit to what we were talking about a few minutes ago. And this is something I think Chris mentioned, and this is something that we were talking about as far as Kamala gets in. There's a lot of energy behind her. People are excited. It seems like Trump's campaign is a little bit trying to find its footing and figure out how to run a new campaign, not against Biden, against Kamala, and now how to handle Walz. But my question to you is, it seems like they're starting to get their footing. There was the press conference today. And then, of course, there's been a lot of criticism of Walz and his military record. A lot of people are saying he avoided combat. And there's been a lot of memes of combat veterans saying, this is me actually fighting versus Walz. And so my question, and I'll throw this to Chris real quick. I want to ask you, or Ed, either one. Do you guys think that the Republicans are starting to find their strategy? And do you think their counterattack against Walz is starting?
If the Republicans are just starting to find their strategy, that is horrifying. Donald Trump has been campaigning as the presumptive nominee for, even before the primary was over. How long has he been the presumptive nominee? Since March or something like that? And you're telling me it's August and you're like, maybe they're just finding their footing now. What the fuck were they doing before?
To hurt him a little bit? And do you think Walz is still the right pick? Or do you think Shapiro might have been the better pick in light of the last 24 hours?
I can say I don't think the attack on Walz is going to hold any weight. What is the attack on Walz? That when he retired, his ranking was reduced because he didn't finish a coursework, or was it because what's the attack that you're talking about?
I'll give you the attack on Walz. I'll break it down. Okay. And everyone needs to remember that a political race is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Everyone thinks that what's happening, what you're thinking this week is how people are thinking in November. It's ridiculous. The way we were thinking 7 weeks ago was that Biden was as cognitively aware as Trump. That's what the left was telling us as little as 6 weeks ago, before that debate. As little as 6 weeks ago, Biden was in the race. Trump had not been shot. Everything changed over the next 6 weeks, and everything changed over the last 2 weeks when Kamala came in. So we're sitting here trying to speculate as to how Americans are going to be voting and thinking in November, which is still 11 to 12 weeks away. It's the most ridiculous way of actually analyzing this, rather than actually analyzing what are the strategies that both camps are employing and how effective do these strategies play out, as far as they invariably will develop over the next couple of months on both sides. And that's the way to properly analyze a press conference from Mar-a-Lago, rather than arguing about Roe v. Wade. So, and with respect to that, what I think we're all seeing is this: the dynamic changed so radically in July, where for the first time ever, people were looking at the possibility of Republican winning the national vote. That has not happened in 20 years. That's how badly the Democrats were getting trounced. And that clearly has shifted over the last couple of weeks since they got some new invigoration from Kamala Harris. Everyone on both sides of the aisle should recognize the very obvious truth to both elements of what I just said. The point that as to where we're at here in August is both camps are trying to pivot and try to figure out what attacks are most likely to be effective in enhancing their chances for winning in November. So August is not a time to figure out exactly.
Well, I'm sorry, Clint. Hang on. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I was drinking something that went down the wrong pipe. Clint Russell is a retard. I'm sorry. And Alex Jones lately, Alex Jones is saying some of the dumbest things lately. And I know a lot of people love Alex Jones, and I know a lot of people respect Alex Jones, but Alex Jones is out there going, they're only going for a free concert. It's just a free concert. The Alex Jones cope is so hard right now. And I don't blame the guy. Listen, Alex Jones has been through a lot this year. Been through a lot last year. So I give Alex Jones a little bit more leeway to say crazy things, just because, but it's a little cringe. But Clint Russell is just a straight retard. I'm sorry. Clint Russell is just going to say whatever he needs to say to get the clout that he wants to get, because he wants to be famous and he wants to be an influencer and all that stuff. And I think it's very sad, because I used to like the guy, and then he just went retarded by being on the internet too much. And, hopefully he comes back to reality someday.
Like, this is their final message. They're going to be arguing on fear. They're going to be arguing on this and on that. This is the time that they're actually trying to develop, okay, what arguments are we going to be using down the stretch in order to strengthen our chances of success in November? And that's what we're seeing from the Trump camp now. They say, okay, look, Kamala got a surge here. The Democrats got a surge because they got rid of a walking cadaver. And they're all excited that and now the level of excitement is that maybe Kamala at this point has crossed that Trump may not win the national vote. I mean, think about how if you're a Trump supporter, you should be thrilled that that's the yardstick that they have of, oh my God, maybe Trump may not win the national vote. If you're a Trump fan, that's phenomenal level to be at here in August. At this stage, you want to talk about the arguments they have. It's starting with stolen valor. But what's actually with respect to Tim Walz is that he is the most radical progressive imaginable. He turned Minnesota legally into a trans refuge state. And he's proud of the fact that he's encouraging kids to cross the border to chop off or take whatever drugs without the parents' knowledge. And he made it completely legal for any perfect stranger to walk up to little children, or when I say little children, I mean 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and start talking to them about their bodies. And at the same time, in order to make it a perfect storm for a grooming state, he's trying to turn Minnesota into a state that's a sanctuary state for illegal aliens. So we don't know who's coming in here. We have no idea who we're welcoming in here, but we're making it perfectly legal for every one of them to go up to any kid who's confused about their bodies and start talking to them about their bodies. These are not what middle America, these are not values that middle America embraces. So when you look at...
I mean, middle America elected him and re-elected him, and middle America and Minnesota was voted the happiest state in the nation last year. So, I mean, I think that debate.
Hey, guys, real quick, Ed, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's breaking news. They've just released body cam footage of the shooter in Pennsylvania before the assassination, where they're giving him a description. This has just been released. Mario has it on his account. We'll try to post it up here in the nest, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Ed, I'll go right back to you.
No, yeah, I think I finished what I was saying. Go ahead.
Good logic. Just a moment. I'm going to have Lev jump in. Lev, go ahead, please. And then Good Logic, you may respond.
Good Logic.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, David. Thank you for having me. Look, the only thing that Good Logic said that I'm going to agree with is basically that, yes, the campaign is still early. There's going to be lots of ups and downs. And I said it a few weeks ago when everybody were on these spaces screaming that Trump's the next president. He's going to win. That's it. Nothing's going to happen. And now what are we looking at? We see Kamala running through the polls. She's now beating him in the national averages. She's also beating him in a lot of the swing states. She's up in Pennsylvania. She's up in Wisconsin. She's up in Michigan. And now North Carolina's in play. So the Trump campaign, what you have witnessed today was basically a reenactment of what happened during the COVID campaign. When Trump basically is now in a panic, his campaign is a panic. He doesn't know what to do. And what Trump does, like, he thinks he could save the world. He's the only one that could do it. And he went against all. I bet you everybody told him not to do it, but he decided he's going to go out there, ramble, to be able to, because all this was supposed to be was he's supposed to come out. What his intentions were, let me tell you, he wanted to come out there, challenge her to a debate, tell her that he was going to do these debates. That was the announcement, and also, talk about a little bit about some of his stuff. But what happened? He came out and basically talked about how he has hundreds of thousands of people. He was talking about how he's worried about how the media portrays how many people are going to events. Because what he saw yesterday, he didn't sleep all night. What he saw happen in Wisconsin, what then he saw happen in Michigan, when they had to change venues because of the crowd sizes, when he saw the enthusiasm, the lines of lists, what he realized, because he hasn't seen that since 2016. And
can I ask, what's your source that Kamala Harris is winning in Pennsylvania? Because Decision Desk actually said that their average of all of the polls showed Donald Trump is up by 1 point in Pennsylvania. Now, it's close, and it's closer than it was before. But
if a poll says that Donald Trump is up by 1 point, that means it's a virtual dead heat. You can't get within all polls are basically like plus or minus 3%. If it's anywhere within 3%, no one really fucking knows.
I'd like your source on that.
I will definitely, just give me a little minute because I'll find it. I'll send you a couple of pictures.
But the fact that Kamala Harris is that close to Trump in Pennsylvania, again, Pennsylvania is the state that Scott Presler has been focused on exclusively for months. Pennsylvania is like where probably the most conservative activism is taking place right now. And so if Trump is only up by 1 point in regards to the aggregate polling average, and the momentum's all behind Kamala Harris, what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, we can't say he's winning. Like, nobody knows if he's winning.
Yeah, I didn't say she's winning. I'm saying she's up in the polls.
Nobody knows whether Trump slept last night. None of the stuff that he's saying here is anyone knows. It's all his speculation. I'm talking about things.
Listen, good logic. People, look, good logic. It's not good logic. No. Stop.
No one knows if Trump slept last night.
You can respond, but I'm glad you said what you said. The people in this space could make their decisions about my sources and your sources. Yes, they could not believe it, but I was around this person and know a lot of people around this person and know what I'm talking about. And if I'm telling you something, it's because I know what I'm saying to you. You, on the other hand, have no idea what you're talking about and speculating on a person that you've probably never met, never spoken to, and have no sources. So yes, let the people could decide, and they don't have to believe me. It's up to them.
Yeah,
I'm giving you information.
The reality is here. I'm not speculating. I don't engage in speculation. You're saying I'm speculating without knowledge, and you're speculating with knowledge. I'm saying that I refuse to speculate, and it's ridiculous for either of us to speculate. You don't know the first damn thing about Trump over the last 3 years. And you're sitting here saying,
why is good logic even on this panel? Why is he even speaking? I'm not here to speculate. Like, that's the whole fucking point of this.
Because
but that's speculation. That's speculation because you don't know what I know. You don't know what I know.
Say that speculation. What part did I just say that speculation? Which words did I say that were speculation?
I'll tell you that you are speculating that you for the
good logic is like, I don't even know why we're talking about this. No one knows shit.
You don't know who I know.
Yeah, okay.
You don't know if I know the person sitting next to Trump all day long. You have no idea who I know. But you're speculating and saying these things. So that's called speculation. Good logic.
What I'm saying, and it's not. I'm saying that you're speculating based on not knowing and not engaging with Trump. Have you engaged? You tell us. Have you engaged with Trump in the last 3 years? No,
I didn't say I engaged.
Great.
You didn't listen. You didn't listen to words.
What does it matter?
One time I went off on a limb and
I'm just reporting sources. Good logic. It's not speculation.
All right.
So
the Twitter space has descended into the land of retardia, and I think I've made my point. We've covered a lot of ground today in the stream. It's 3 hours. It's 8 p.m. at night. I'm hungry because I haven't really eaten yet today. And so I'm going to go get some dinner. And so I want to thank everyone for joining me today. And again, listen, man, I don't want Kamala Harris to be president, but I think that a lot of people are lying to themselves if they think that Trump is just decimating her and it is just like, and it's an unavoidable conclusion that he's going to win. That's retarded. And I think that a lot of people need to start hinging themselves back into reality, and Trump needs to start hinging himself back into reality. And if he doesn't, she's going to win. And I'm not going to feel bad for anyone if she wins. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to be like, I told you so. I'm sorry. I tried to tell you, but you didn't listen, per usual. Story of my life. I was just saying to my husband earlier, I was like, Victor, the only like 50 years after I'm dead, people are going to admit that I was right about everything. Everything I'm doing is for history. Nothing I'm doing is for now. Everything I'm doing is for history. So that after I'm dead, people are going to look back at my work and they're going to say, Carlin was right. And she was always right. And she tried to tell us. And it didn't work. Because conservatives were more interested in and bullshit and nonsense and smears. But I guess that's kind of the lot I've drawn. So if you guys want to see my work, head over to my Substack. It is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. I'm working on a series called the Re-Education series, where I'm breaking down what you need to know about the far left from the beginning. This is based off of 3.5 years of doing more in-depth deep dives into the far left than anyone else on the planet. And if you think that someone has done more than me, then let me know who they are, because I would love to talk to them. But I as of right now, and no one has ever been able to challenge me on this, I have done more deep dives and watched more far left trainings than anyone else literally in the world over the last 3.5 years. I've documented thousands of hours of their trainings. I've gone undercover at their events. I have documented it on my Substack. I have a massive archive on this YouTube channel. I have another YouTube channel that also has a little bit of an older archive. And if you want to understand the left, if you want to understand the left in a way that is hinged into reality, not that is conservative propaganda, I am breaking it down on my Substack, Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Everyone can sign up for email updates for free. But if you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business and get access to my supporter perks, sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. I am 100% completely funded by you. I am not beholden to any politician. I'm not beholden to any organization. I only take money from normal people who appreciate what I do and appreciate the education I'm trying to offer in the world. And my only job is to tell you the truth and to show you receipts so that you can judge for yourself what you think about it. Lots of great stuff over on the Substack. I'm going to have Re-Education number 5, which is going to be all about equity, going up today. Guys, and you can use the Re-Education series to help explain to your friends and family what is going on. These are really simply written articles. They're written in plain English. There's no academic ease. And it's to help people understand all of the crazy stuff that's going on in the world around them. So that's the work I do. I hope you guys will consider joining me on this little adventure. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., I will be back for happy hour. Happy hour is when we watch a woke training from start to finish, and we have some beers. We maybe get a little tipsy. I also may do a stream later. I may do a stream later to get to know my new friend. My new friend who decided to diagnose me with a personality disorder that I don't have. I may watch this stream with Deb. I may. I'm not promising anything. If I do this, it's going to be later tonight, like around midnight, maybe something like that. Maybe. Just because apparently he talks about like personality disorders, and Deb certainly has a personality disorder. But so I just make it. If he doesn't want to come on the channel and talk to me, then maybe I'll just do a little stream about him. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But maybe I will. So guys, please do make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. We do Socialism Saturdays on Saturdays at 6 p.m. And that's all I have. And I'm going to go get some dinner. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.